Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi Out's here, and it's Sunday morning, and we got like triple duty to do today. Two reactions and a preview for today. Two games last night, and the Laker game tonight, 9:30 Eastern at the Crypto Arena. The Raptors will play against LeBron James and the Lakers. And I'll go ahead and start, do it all in its order. We'll do the preview for tonight first, and then I'll do my reactions to the 905 narrow victory over Delaware Bluecoats, and also the narrow loss to the Los Angeles Clippers at the brand new Intuit Dome last night. Lots of crazy basketball action yesterday. It was entertaining, if not a little frustrating, having the Raptors lose right at the end there with the Clippers. But man, these guys are hanging with everybody right now. There's no blowouts like in the first game, and Cleveland's been honestly blowing out and messing people up like crazy all season at 11-0. So it's like the first game, if you see now where Cleveland is with the record, you kind of like are like, okay, all right, I'll take what happened, even though I didn't like losing to them in the home opener, because they beat everybody that they're playing so far. All right, let's go to the injury news first. We were lucky to get our guy IQ back last night, and he looked fantastic. But here are the guys that are still out for the Raptors. Of course, we saw an amazing pair of guys on the bench dressed as themselves. We had the grown man Garrett with his very fine suit on the sidelines, and then you had the cowboy Bruce Brown sitting on the sidelines. Also, it's kind of fun to see such a stark dichotomy in styles. You have the very fine tailored to the nines suit Garrett Temple's wearing, and then Bruce is there acting like he's in a buddy cop movie with him, and it's like a cowboy in a suit guy. It's like it seems to me like with Garrett Temple and Bruce Brown on the bench, and of course Scotty's got his own style, Canadian kid style with this Canadian hoodie, and yeah, he's all right. Anyway, let's do the injury report. Garrett Temple is still out because of his back, and honestly, they were saying in the broadcast last night he had a clipboard and he was acting like he was a coach. So, man, and Jack Armstrong's echoing stuff that I've said on this stream in the past. Garrett Temple can do whatever he wants to do when he retires as a player. He can go in so many different directions and be successful. They mentioned coaching in the front office on the air, but honestly, that dude could take their jobs. He's that good. He's a really good announcer. No lie, he really is. When I've heard him call games, he is so informative, and his delivery is just impeccable. So he could be in broadcasting also. There's a lot of different things Garrett can do afterwards. Bruce Brown, of course, is out still recovering from his knee surgery also. And Scotty, we got some looks at his eye in some of the camera angles last night where it looks really bad. Like in some ways, like it looks like Scott's face looks different now. Scott's had some different alterations to himself since he came in the league as a rookie. Of course, he had his teeth fixed a certain way, and now his eye is probably gonna, not that he doesn't need surgery, but the way it is healing, his facial structure is quite different than his normal facial structure. And catching some of the angles of his face on the bench last night, it was kind of really apparent. You could see it, and I'm like, whoa, that looks like a weird Terminator cyborg Scott. That's what Terminator Scott is. Really weird, really weird. Kelly Olynyk continues to be out with his stoner fresh wave kind of look with the hoodie and the hair and the snapback and the nice sneakers. Yeah, Kelly, I'm just doing the fits of our injured guys because in some ways they're kind of cool. Jacoby Walter, of course, comes in the black hoodie and does his emo thing. And yeah, he's out too. So that's your injury list. It's the cowboy, the guy in the suit, the kid from Canada, the stoner from Canada, and the moody kid in the black hoodie. That's who our injury report is. So yeah, I really love seeing IQ coming back last night. Let's look at the Lakers side of things for tonight's game. Now, recently, Anthony Davis has had injury trouble, and there was some worry that he might be out for an extended period of time, but he has returned to their lineup in recent games, and he is probable today. It is his plantar fasciitis, a very similar thing that Gary Trent Jr. was dealing with last year is going on with Anthony Davis right now. Unfortunately, he will be playing today, probably, guys, is what I'm going to say right now. So AD should be available for them, along with the troublesome Jackson Hayes. He is probable for today's game also. He has had a knee injury that he's dealing with, but he should be playing also. Jared Vanderbilt is still out. It's his foot. And Christian Wood, he had surgery right before the season, and he's still not available for the Lakers. Of course, the Lakers sent Bronny to South Beach, South Bay Lakers, and he's been playing. He had his debut there yesterday, 6 points in 31 minutes, 5 turnovers. Bronny James for the South Bay Lakers yesterday. And Koloko played for South Bay Lakers also. Now, Koloko played in the last two Laker games, actually. And so he could be very likely to play today if he is in the building for crypto for tonight. Now, the starting lineup for the Lakers is Russell, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. And, of course, we kind of saw them recently in Toronto. So we know their bench is now Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, Max Christie, Christian Koloko, Bronny James, Jalen Hood Shafino, and Maxwell Lewis. Yeah, that's kind of the fleshing out of their team. So they were going to be mostly healthy, just missing a couple people. I'd be surprised if any of those guys aren't there. All right, our crew chief for tonight's Laker game is Tony Brothers, guys. Tony Brothers will be reffing his second game for the Raptors this season tonight. And you know what? He reffed one of our wins, y'all. I think he reffed the game against Nick Nurse, if I remember correctly. He refereed the Philadelphia game that we beat Nick Nurse in Toronto on. So Tony's in his 31st season as number 25 out of Norfolk, Virginia. Of course, we know this man loves croakers. His favorite TV show is 24. He likes the movie Claudine. He gets down to Earth, Wind, and Fire. His favorite book is the Bible. He likes to listen to Spotify, and his hidden talent is cooking. Tony Brothers, before joining the NBA, spent 4 years on the CBA, including 3 finals and an all-star game for the Continental Basketball Association. Brothers also has 7 years of high school officiating experience in Virginia and 1 year of service at the junior college level. Yeah, Tony Brothers, well, like I said, he's one of the guys that we've actually had a win with this season as a ref. And this is really interesting. The record with the Raptors with Tony Brothers is 42% winning percentage. 46%. Sorry, 46%. Meanwhile, exact same record for the Lakers. So Tony Brothers is a split even 46% Lakers, 46% Raptors. So 46-46 with Tony Brothers on the ref report. The second ref is John Butler. John Butler's number 30, his 6th season out of Biloxi, Mississippi. He likes the Chappelle Show. He enjoys Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. His favorite musician is Jay-Z. His favorite book is Chop Wood, Carry Water. Okay, Earl Watson. Favorite meal is red beans and rice. His favorite app is the Bible. So Tony's favorite book is the Bible, and John Butler's favorite app is the Bible. So that just shows a generational gap right there. It's an app for John Butler. It's an actual hardcover book for Tony Brothers. But, well, it's a Sunday. Why not have two men that have a strong belief in God be on our referee crew today? He most like to visit Africa, John Butler. John Butler's his interests include traveling, hopefully not on the basketball court, visiting museums, reading, cooking, fitness, video games, collecting sneakers, movies, music, and sports. Quite a diverse array of interests for John Butler. John Butler is a very similar record as Tony Brothers with the Raptors. We win 46% of the time. Once again, it's .455, and Tony's .62, but really the same win percentage, 46%. Meanwhile, the Lakers have a higher win percentage with John Butler, so he favors them. 53% winning percentage with the Lakers. So 53-46 for the Lakers on the second ref, John Butler. The third ref is Simone Jilks, number 81, 5th season out of Cleveland, Ohio. She likes the show The Handmaid's Tale. Well, I hope that that's not a real reality show very soon. Favorite book is the Bible. Once again, I don't know how they get these ref crews together, but maybe they look at their profiles and say, oh, these three like steak, so let's put them together. Well, today, and this is great because, it is Sunday, the holy day, and we've got some real believers that are reffing the game tonight. Favorite movie, Love and Basketball. Favorite musician, J. Cole of the CEBL. Favorite meal, collard greens and peach cobbler. Her favorite app is Skylight. She most liked to visit Africa And her hidden talent is spoken word poetry. There you go. Simone Jelks gave birth to a son, Mecca Blue, in January 2024. She has shared her story about experiencing infant loss following her first pregnancy. Ooh, all right. That's a heavy topic. Heavy topic. But yeah, I kind of remember the ref content showing her pregnant and talking about having to leave, being able to ref, to have a baby and balancing everything. Well, Simone is just like Tony. She was at the game against Nick Nurse and the Sixers, and we won. So we won our first ever game with her refereeing recently. We are 25% win. That is 1 out of 4 games we've won with her reffing. She's a very, very young rookie ref. And meanwhile, the Lakers are 1-1. So they've only been reffed twice by her. They're 1-1. We're 1-3 with her. So 25-50 is the split for the Lakers with Simone Jelks. But we did win our only game with her reffing this year. And that was with Tony Brothers also. So they like to pair Tony Brothers up with Simone. So there's your ref crew. With Tony Brothers, you get a fair shot. You could ask LeBron James. Tony Brothers is a straight down the line kind of ref, and in some ways, he's not going to totally kiss LeBron's ass. So I like the ref crew a lot. I really, really do. So there's your ref report for tonight's game. Well, we'll get into talking about the games last night now and any other stuff you guys want to talk about on the Raptor Free channel here this morning. Let's get to it. All right, let's see who's in here first. It's Kareem Thomas. Good to see Butt Dial. You're not Butt Dial anymore. It's David because he did it last. Anyway, down 3 seconds. One situation where a team is going to try and foul. They have Grady inbound the ball to Yak, whose back is to the basket. I cannot say enough bad things about this play. Okay, that play was interesting because I agree it wasn't the ideal outcome. Getting the ball to one of our historically worst free throw shooters, but has been better recently. It's not necessarily the right play. Now, what I will say is that Tyronn Lue and Jeff Van Gundy and the Clippers bench probably had a very good defensive play for that inbounds play, and they may have read it very well. And what happens is, Kareem, this is what I noticed, and I think what happened is they had to use the emergency pass in, and that's usually to the tall guy. It's like the relief valve. If the other guys are getting blocked out and you can't get the ball to them, well, you just kind of dump it into the big guy, and they try and figure it out there. Yeah, it wasn't ideal at all. And when I saw them foul Jakob at the top of the key, I was like, man, that's dirty in some ways because we're down by 3 and they can only give them 2 free throws, obviously. Well, we made the best of that situation in some ways. Jakob makes the first one and he does a very good miss. In fact, that miss that he made on the second one, careened, I don't know. Is that the right word? I don't know. You know what I mean? It bounced off, and he was able to get his own rebound off the free throw and get a very, very clean, not bad shot. In fact, this shot was kind of reminiscent of RJ's shot in the last game that rimmed in and out. It could have just dropped in and boom, we're all celebrating and it's a win. Just like what happened with 905 last night. Now that Jakob shot is as crazy as that whole sequence looked, actually almost dropped. Like if it had just fell in, well, the game's tied and we're going to overtime. So yeah, I had a couple problems with it too, because in some ways it's like, this is not ideal. You're right. But I think that we may need to give credit instead of giving kind of crap to it's a complete crap, our guy Darko. We should be giving credit to Tyronn Lue and Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy is on his staff now, and he is just a defensive mastermind. So there could have been like a very good coaching job by the veteran team, the Clippers, with their very good staff. They have a lot of good coaches over there. I mean, they had who else was sitting over there? And I'm like, oh crap, they've got them on their bench too. Yeah, they've got a lot of good coaches in their brain. Brian Shaw, that's who I saw over there. I was like, okay, Brian Shaw is an assistant coach for them too. Of course, he was around Phil Jackson and the Lakers championships a lot. So they have a good coaching staff on the Clippers. If not the most talented team and not the most connected team, but they have some good coaches. So I don't know. It's tough. We live last shot, and that Jakob shot could have fell, and everything's totally different in that case, right? Everything's totally different. Stargate saying, I'm sorry, I love Darko, but his coaching decisions last night were a little weird. Scotty is probably going to need a bit of cosmetic surgery in the offseason, and that's okay. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to need. In some ways, he may look tough when he looks kind of cyborgish, like the Terminator or something like that. I don't know. In some ways, maybe he, excuse me, maybe he does need the surgery, and maybe we'll put a metal plate in his face or something like that, so he's even more armored for battle. I don't know. Yeah, I know people can be critical of Darko and things. And it makes sense. I get it. But we've got to understand there's a couple things going on here. In some ways, once again, a win is a win and a loss is a win for the Raptors. I hate that we're 200 team after 10 games, 200, 2 games out of 10 we won. In some ways, but the thing is, out of those 8 losses, how many of those could have been won by a more experienced team or a fully healthy team? That's the thing we've got to think about in all this. In some ways, I kind of don't mind the whole pattern that's going on right now, but I'll mind about this later on in the season. Right now, if the Raptors hang with these top teams or any team they're playing, and they keep it close and they're battling and they have a chance in every game, even if they don't execute and get the win, and it's not like I'm saying moral victory or anything. It's just showing that we can compete. And that's the important thing. Sometimes when you're a rebuilding team, you just get your ass kicked and you don't have any kind of level of like trying to even have a chance to win. And you have to build to that over time. Like when somebody does a full rebuild, usually they got to lose by 20 a lot and learn how to lose by 10, lose by 5, lose by this. So in some ways, we're advanced, we're progressing very quickly for only 10 games with this regime of this rebuild. So there's different perspectives we can look at this, guys. Because I remember watching the Orlando Magic expansion team when they were first in like 1989, 90, and they were getting blown out by like teams by like 30 in the beginning. And they had to learn to shrink that lead that they were getting beat by. And that was part of the building up of the expansion team to learn that. And that's the thing. That's the thing that we're going through right now. And in some ways, we're a couple steps ahead because we're in close games and we're losing them. And in some ways, we could also say, well, if Scotty's healthy, maybe we win these games. It really is. It's okay. And I get it. Some ways you guys are going to try and say, okay, this is Darko, this is Darko, this is Darko. Well, once again, I will say this. Darko is also, hasn't been a head coach for super, super long. And there is a learning development for him also as far as things with these kind of situations. I'm not going to say that I'm really happy with everything that happened with Darko last night, and I can see where y'all's concerns are, but we also have to keep this all in perspective as far as like we're not losing by 15 or 20 double digits. We're losing very close games to teams that are absolutely more veteran knowledgeable about how to win in the NBA and close stuff out. You're playing James Harden. You're playing NBA 2019 champion Norman Powell. You're playing a unit that, even though they've been hurt and stuff, a lot of those guys have played together for a few years now. So there's a lot of experience and connection that they have in time that we don't necessarily have. Guys like Coffee and Zubac and Powell and, Harden. These guys have been around each other for a bit here. Mo's here. Good morning, Raptor Free crew, and happy game day. Glad to have IQ back yesterday. Congratulations, Drew Jones, on your first win as a head coach. Both games so close. Yeah, let's go look at the 905 games since Mo brought it up. That was a nail biter. We won at the last second, the very last second, and it was our guy that walked on and won the game for us. That's right. A dude who went to the Mississauga and paid $250 to try out for the 905 hit a game winner in their very first game this season. Tyreek Key came out there, and I'm serious. They kept him from the tryouts. He was somebody who came in there and tried out from off the street, and he made the team. And boy, did it pay off in the first game. He hit a big, huge three, and it was not an easy shot. It was a little bit off balance, not totally set, and there was a defender absolutely agitating the shot too, and he nailed it. And it was crazy. It's so good to see the fun and the victory on the the 905. And yeah, this is a great debut for Andrew Jones. I'm sure he doesn't want it to be like this because honestly, there was some luck involved in this, but also they got to take care of the lead and hold the other teams off, and just beat them much worse than just getting by on the skin of their teeth. But it was fantastic. I have my stars of the game for the victory last night. 5 stars because it was a victory. DJ Carton is my number one star. He was fantastic. He was the floor general. He was the starting point guard for the 905 last night. 37 minutes. He got 25 points. 10 of 21 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 5 turnovers, a +5. Yeah. Wait, no, that's not the right stat line. That's Kennedy's. No, DJ Carton had 25 points, 9 of 16, 5 of 8, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover. So 7 assists to 1 turnover is the assist to turnover ratio for DJ Carton's starting point guard for the 905 last night. And yeah, he was good. He was also a which was the best plus minus on the team. So DJ Carton had a real winning effect and a steadiness and a professionalism for the 905 that really carried them in a very good way. One of the stark differences between last year's 905 and this year's 905 is it actually seems like they're trying to do Darko's system with Andrew Jones. Last year it was very isolation, just attack and goofy stuff. In some ways, Garrett Curry was still playing off the Nick Nurse playbook, even though last year, and it's partly the blame of like Javon Freeman Liberty and other players like that just go out on their own. There was a little bit of that from Kennedy Chandler last night, but he was pretty successful. But either way, it was nice to see much more passing on the 905 level and teamwork than in past years recently, because it really was kind of all for one for all. Kind of we're on our own, and we're trying to just try and look good to try and get into the big league. Was the feel in the past. Now Chandler is my second star of the game. I screwed up and read his stat line first. 10 of 21. 25 points, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, and 5 turnovers. The thing we learned about Kennedy Chandler, other than the stuff we saw from Summer League, is that he is a baller. This is a guy who's hooping, and he will go in there and get hoops close to the basket, and he will hit shots from the outside too. So he was a big driving force in the very, very good offense we had. That was another thing that was very different about this 905 team from last year, is they weren't inept in having dry spells on offense where they just couldn't score for a long period of time, and the other teams just scoring more and more and taking a huge lead. No, if there was a race to score, the 905 were beating Delaware Bluecoats on that for the most of the game. But it was a close game throughout, and it was a nail biter to win at the end. But still, the 905 were keeping a good pace. I mean, they had 38 points in the second quarter of this game. So they really were shooting at a good clip there. The third star of the game is, you know what? I have to give this guy an apology. I've been very harsh on Brandon Carlson from the training camp, and, them taking his two-way away from him and him showing up there. Cool Cat, I saw you in the chat when you said, I was under the understanding that Brendan Carlson was not involved in the team anymore. Well, I don't know if you're not watching me or not, because I covered this. And I said, yeah, we retained him because, the way that we took the two-way from him, we still retained his rights, and that he was just going to be straight up 905 this year. Now, some people are always saying, we need to switch that back and get him on a two-way again. Me personally, I'm not totally ready to see that yet. But maybe, because honestly, there was a couple of improvements I saw with Brendan last night, and it's his body. He actually looks like he got rid, and he has added muscle. He looked a lot more stronger in the game last night, and he was holding his own. And in fact, he had a fantastic game. He got a double-double, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 6 of 15 shooting. He hit 1 3, 2 of 3 at the free throw line, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 3 turnovers, a +12. He had 4 offensive rebounds. In fact, at times in the game, Brendan Carlson was the dominant big man who was doing the most hard work and carrying us, and he was definitely a force in us being the winner last night for the 905 against Delaware. I apologize, Brendan. I may have been harsh on you about your body weight and your ability to hold your weight around the basket. This is my biggest concern about you in the big league. is that, you could come up there, but if you can't be effective defensively around the basket, then it may be a problem. Well, the dude is on that Grady diet and workout from Christmas last year because he looks like he bulked up very fast in just the time from training camp to now. So kudos to you, Brendan. Put in more of the work. And you know what? You did fantastic last night. I apologize for being hard on you this summer and in training camp. And I see a real potential for you if you are able to add that muscle and bulk to be able to handle the physicality of the NBA. It's one thing to do it for Utah and run around and do it out there as a very tall guy. You have to understand, you have to bulk up and be a little bit more muscular in this league. And it looks like you've heeded this from the Raptors. I think I heard Darko say this. It's like, we need Brendan to get bigger because he's not strong enough. So, he was very strong last night, and I got to give him a lot of credit. I love the double-double and the 3 blocks and the 4 offensive rebounds. Really, really good. My 4-star is Canada's own Quincy Guerriere, and they were butchering his name last night, just going off on it, which was just not nice. There were a lot of francophones in the 905 chat last night, and they were just groaning and hating how the Delaware Bluecoats announce team would butcher our guy Quincy's last name. It's hilarious. 7 of 10 from the field, very efficient. 17 points and a +9. 1 of 3 from 3. He hit his only free throw. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Very, very good game for Quincy. He was mixing it up in the lane and being very active and just being a very good big for us last night. So very proud of him. On that one. And my final star of the game is Tyreke Key. And it really is for hitting that big shot right at the end. He played for 25 minutes. And got 8 points, and one of them was that very important 3-pointer to put them ahead at the end of the game. 3 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, a -12. But you know what? Doesn't matter if he's hitting that huge shot. And what a story. This guy walked on, and now all of a sudden he has a big, huge shot. The one thing I'll say about Tyreke Key is he's old. He's kind of not a totally tall point guard or guard, but he has thickness. He's very strong. He's a very strong, wide kind of guard. You know those types of guards, kind of like Fred VanVleet kind of build. So he was very efficient out there and effective, especially on that last shot. Very, very interesting stuff. Of course, the chat in the 905 YouTube channel was very interesting because He Who Shall Not Be Named was in there with us. And so was Blake Murphy. And it was very interesting where I was talking to Blake Murphy directly and asking him. I asked him a question about Jamal Shed and the possibility of him playing on the 905. And thank you, Blake, for answering my question. And thank you for being so helpful in the chat for people and answering questions. Blake Murphy is a salary cap and G League expert, and he's a great resource for information on these subjects. And I asked him straight up the thing that we've been debating, Blackhawk and I, about Jamal Shed, whether he's going to play on the 905 or not. And Blake thinks he is. He thinks it is going to be handled a lot similar to how Fred VanVleet was handled in his rookie year and such. Now, but I remember when in Fred's rookie year, he did not play at all on the main Raptors, and he played primarily completely on the 905, because I think he maybe played like a handful of games in his rookie year on the Raptors. I don't remember exactly. But Blake's saying, yeah, it's more than likely once the guys get back from injury that Jamal Shed will be assigned to 905 and running things down there. I think that if you look at Fred and where he was in his rookie year and where Shed is in 10 games into his rookie year, he's way ahead of Fred, because Fred wasn't getting rotational minutes at this point in his rookie year at all. He wasn't even close to it. Fred very much was the third point guard with 2 very healthy point guards ahead of him, with Kyle Lowry and Corey Joseph. And those guys were not missing games like Quickly just did. So, and we did see Shed's minutes get cut last night because IQ came back. So I think that him going to 905 is probably, it may happen when we get like 3 more guys off the injury list, and then he'll be running things down there. So expert Blake Murphy is thinking, yeah, Shed's going to be playing 905 for sure. Yeah, looking at the rest of the roster for the 905 game, I'll go over the whole thing for 905 first. So this is a game that happened first. Dylan Disu in the starting lineup, 3 for 10, 1 of 6 from 3. He had a very impressive bank 3. It was really cool. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 7 points, a +2 in 24 minutes. Disu starting. Some people may have thought Shamshe should have started. But we've got to understand and remember, once again, Urish Shamshe is 18 years old, all in due time. He is a baby taking baby steps. And it was kind of funny what the things that people were saying in the chat. Go through Shamshe mad because they weren't seeing more of the Shamshe show in the chat. It was obvious that a lot of the people that came to watch that 905 game came to see Yorit Shamshe make his G League debut. And, in some ways they were disappointed because they didn't really see a whole lot from him in certain ways. Shamshe had 14 minutes on the court altogether. He did not score. He was a -11. He only took 1 shot, but there was some very promising things that were evident in this game. His wingspan and his ability to get around is so attractive for what he could potentially grow into. 4 rebounds and 3 blocks, and he had some very nice blocks. He's very active, and he's a problem. He's going to be a problem for people as far as just being a defensive menace and a presence around the court. You can see the little seedlings of it, but it's so raw, and it has to be finessed and taught and learned more. In some ways, people are saying, why isn't he shooting threes? Why isn't he doing this? And I'm like, this dude just came to this continent like not that long ago, a couple months ago. And in some ways, he's just learning the culture here. He's learning the NBA. He's learning what it means to be on a team properly as a professional. He's got so much thrown at him all at once that in some ways we don't need to be throwing him in the deep end in any kind of way. There's time. He's 18, and we got to do this in the correct order of things, is what I'm saying. Miles Burns returned to the 905 for his second year, 11 minutes with 11 points. I like that production, a point per minute production, 3 of 8 from the field, 1 for 2, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. So not a bad game by Miles Burns. He was very athletic and active out there in the game as per usual. That's right. Tyler Perry, 8 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 1 turnover. Yeah, he only took 1 3, but he was out there running the show for a bit. Kevin O'Banner back for his second year with the 905. 13 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field. He missed both his 3-point shots, 4 rebounds, and 4 points, a +12. So he was a very much on the winning side of things when he was out on the court. Good things were happening. In some ways, O'Banner's got to feel like him and Burns. Wow, this was more wide open, and I was able to get a lot of minutes because, Eric Curry had to rely on us a lot. But this new cast, well, I may not have as big of a role this season on the 905 like they really leaned on me last year. But that you got to just play really solid and strong, O'Banner, and you'll get your time out there. And that's a good start. That was a good game. Tyreek Key already did, and Gilliard was the other player that played for us last night. Evan Gilliard hitting 1 3. He's 1 of 5 from the field overall, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 3 points for Evan Gilliard the third. Yeah, very good job. On the other side of things, we saw Patrick McCaw trying to tear us up. He got 18 points on. Patrick McCaw is just a career G League player at the point. I think he's played for Delaware Bluecoats 3 years in a row at least right now. And in some ways, I wonder about that. I'm like, McCaw, couldn't you go overseas and do something over there? Maybe he doesn't want to leave this continent, and he's just perfectly happy making the G League salary and playing the G League because, man, that dude could make money somewhere else if he really wanted to. But for some reason, he's just still lingering around in the shadows around Nick Nurse on their G League team over there. Jeffrey Doughton Jr. and Lester Quinones was not at the game because they're on the road with the Sixers in LA because of injuries, obviously, to Maxey and Embiid and different people. They've had them called up, so they weren't available. But yeah, a really good effort. We did see Isaiah Mobley, Evan Mobley's brother, in this game, and he really had a kind of a bad game. But good job by the 905 to play very, very well. Get Coach Andrew Jones his first ever victory. The 905 shot 45% to the 39% by the Blue Coats. They got 13 threes to 14 of theirs, but they shot better. 9 of 13 at the free throw line. The free throw line was not good for Raptors teams last night, either one of them. But, the Blue Coats shot worse, 9 of 14 from the free throw line. They lost the rebounding battle. 63-52 for the Bluecoats. They had 26 assists, 10 steals, 9 blocks, and they had 18 turnovers. They were kind of limiting the turnovers early, but they kind of got more of them in the third quarter when kind of things unraveled for a little bit. Points in the paint, 60 points in the paint for the 905. Yeah, it's a great first victory. And in some ways, this is the cup season of 905 G League season, where all these games, including the one last night, are like in-season tournament games for the Raptors. And they count to whether they're going to go to Vegas and compete for the G League Cup around just before Christmas. So, man, I want to win all these games because the last couple of years in this section of the season, the 905 are kind of feeling things out, and then they'll have like failure, mess up, and then all of a sudden they're like 2-12, and they're absolutely not in the G League Cup. So this is a great first step forward for the 905 in the quest to make it to Vegas for the G League Cup. I'm very, very proud of them. Very, very good stuff. Monique, your guy, Andrew, I like him. 2 thumbs up so far. He seems like he's going to be a great coach. And I love the footage of them giving him the celebration in the Delaware Bluecoats back visitor locker room after the game. That was fantastic. Such good vibes and a lot of fun to watch. Anybody who watched that 905 game probably very, very, very much enjoyed it. And, well, we were on our best behavior. Everybody was civil in there. A little bit of snide remarks from Fuckface, he who shall not be named. But for the most part, the peace was kept in the 905 chat with different people being there that aren't normally being there. It was very interesting to see Blake there, and it was cool. I'm glad he was very friendly and talking to everybody. Blake Murphy is absolutely one of the best experts on the Raptors all around in any kind of way. So, I was happy to see him there. Yeah, let's see. Most saying Tyreek Key, though. Yeah, Tyreek Key, the key to the victory. Key putting it in there at the end of the game was fantastic. It was so good. Stargate saying teams seem to be scouting Grady. Raptors coaches have to adjust the system a bit to accommodate that. He is important to the offense. Yeah, these are all bumps in the road early in the development, early careers. That, like they said in the broadcast last night, Scotty went through this. When scouting reports start to center around you more, you're not as much of an afterthought. You can operate a little bit more when you're unknown. And then once they see you and they say, okay, this guy's a problem, they really start to cater to some plans to try and slow you down. And that's what's happening. But the great thing is that we will adjust. And Grady is a very, very smart young player that understands this stuff. It may be frustrating right now because his shooting percentage and some of this stuff isn't happening as smoothly as it was like a week ago. But this is all part of the learning curve and getting better and better in the NBA. And for these tests, he will be so much better for it. So it is what it is. And, at this time, maybe we can't rely totally on Grady in some ways just because defenses are very much keying on him right now. So we're going to have to figure it out. But, yeah, I'm not worried about this. I trust that our coaches will figure it out. And Grady is a smart guy. It won't take long for him to figure it out. He's advanced. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Sunday. Good morning to you, MJ. I hope you're having a great weekend. Saw the Raptors 905 highlights. Great game. Raptors trailed by 14 at some point and made it close to winning it. Free throws mattered yesterday. Yeah. Free throws always matter. And that's why I sometimes gauge players on how professional they are by how they handle their free throws. Now, in some ways, you could go back and say, well, what about Wilt? What about Shaq, Lex? Well, sometimes the big guys have problems with their hands and things. For some reason, they miss free throws. I mean, Yak's a little bit in this category, too. There's hack a Shaq, hack a Yak, and that's what happened last night. There was a little bit of hack a Yak at the end of the Clippers game, which was unfortunate. But, yeah, it is what it is. It's like, free throws did matter. And they were lost. There were a lot of missed free throws for the Raptors in the Clippers game last night, which is too bad. I mean, what did they shoot last night? Yeah, they shot 57%, 12 of 21. And that really did factor into this game, obviously, because they lost by 2. They missed 9 free throws. Now, one of the factors actually was the wall. The wall at the Intuit Dome is impressive, to say the least. It's as the broadcast team described, it's a more vertically stacked up, and you have to stand in that part of the arena the whole time. There's a lot of rules to be in that section, and I like it. I think that we need to do this in our arena. And I want to stand, and our section is going to be like this. You could do this MLSE if you wanted to. You could change some of the sections on one of the end of the court and do exactly what Bomber's done. You know what? It had a couple of very cool effects. It gave the game a real college atmosphere as far as the yelling and the noise and the people with the drum and all that kind of stuff. That is what it sounds like to play in the Atlantic Coast Conference and other big basketball divisions in college basketball. That was cool. And then the factor of them all standing and them being organized with their maple leaves and the leaf blower guy, that was a little different. In some ways, I could say that part of the reason why the Raptors shot so bad at the free throw line is that they played in an arena. None of them have. And every arena has different kind of nooks and crannies and dimensions to it. And in some ways, you got to go in there and feel the feel of the atmosphere and where the ceiling is and just everything to kind of place things. So I mean, I could say that's part of the reason why they shot so bad at free throws, but maybe it's very obviously that the fans were crazy behind there with that wall, and they were very effective at making our team miss free throws. So it's awesome. It's crazy. And I want more teams to do what this Clippers team's doing because honestly, there's two things they're doing. They're making sure real ones are near the court and get to be loud, and they're making them loud the whole entire game. We heard "Let's go Clippers" and defense chants all throughout the game. And this is my dream for what we need in Toronto. You put those the Raptor freaks down there in that section for the Raptors, we will stand the whole game and we will get loud the whole game and we will do whatever crazy stuff organized together. If we could get lower ticket prices because we sign a contract and say, yeah, we're going to wear Raptors gear, we're going to come loud, we're going to be loud the whole time, we're going to stand the whole time. Yeah, I'll do all that because I do that anyway. I would stand the whole game if I could because people behind me don't want me to stand. I'm a tall man. So this would be great if we could do this MLSC because you may be able to kill a couple birds with one stone. You get good energy down. We fixed some of Mike Roach's tirade the other day about the lower bowl not being very helpful to the team because they're just sitting around watching dinner theater. And then you also help some of the fans get affordable tickets downstairs and sit in a better section than upstairs, and you get real ones downstairs. So you're checking off a couple boxes. If you guys actually seriously consider doing this, I think that the innovation of it is something that other teams in the NBA are going to look at, and we may want to jump in on this idea. It's a copycat league. Well, let's copycat what they're doing with their fans in the Clippers arena. Because honestly, this could really solve some of the stuff Mike Roach is complaining about on his tirade on his podcast recently. So, yeah, I love that. I love that wall, even if it messed up our free throws last night. Even if it did, it was really interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah. Stargate saying that Simone was actually a pretty good ref in the game with the Raps. Yeah. I remember you guys saying that you liked Simone Jelks from the first game that we had reffing, and that a lot of people were saying that she was quite good at what she was doing. So, well, we got her again. And it seems like they pair her with Tony Brothers quite a bit. It could very well be that he's kind of mentoring her. So, that's not a bad combo. We won the last time they were reffing us. So, well, let's see if we can get a win against LeBron in his home arena tonight. Because the other thing people are saying right now, and it's annoying, the Clippers broadcast last night was putting this all over their score at the bottom. The Raptors are the only team in the NBA that have not won a road game. This is true. We have not won a road game yet in the season. Even lowly ass Sixers won a road game, and we have not. And we need to fix this as soon as possible. They also kept putting at the bottom of their broadcast, the Raptors have the worst defense in the NBA. I'm like, you guys are assholes, man. You're assholes. You guys pointing out all this horrible stuff about us. But yeah, Simone Jelks will be there again tonight. That's right. Most saying something about Yak was so off yesterday. Davion kept shooting. Eventually they will fall. Missed shots, free throws, etc. All right, let me go look at the rest of the Raptors on the box score for the Clippers game last night. Actually, I haven't done the stars for that one yet. So let's do the stars for the Raptors' loss to the Clippers last night. My number one star last night for the Raptors was Ochai Agbaji. He was a very effective 21 points, 9 of 14 shooting, which is absolutely efficient. 3 of 6 from 3. He was money on those threes, and his confidence on the three-point shot is growing this season as we go. 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers, a +2. Abaji played a really solid, effective game all around. And not only with the stats we talk about, we know he's doing something on the other end of the court as far as trying to corral people like Norman Powell and James Harden and doing it within some degree of success. So Abaji is my number one star last night. He has not been the number one star for me at all this year until now. Second star is Boucher. Once again, Boucher off the bench, very solid. And it wasn't the 3-point shooting last night. He was 0 for 4. It was him crashing the boards and just being a physical energy presence, getting in there and getting the ball and putting it back in. 3 offensive rebounds led. He had 14 points overall, 6 of 12 shooting. So, yeah, Chris was active, and he was helping score off the bench in a major way. So, Chris Boucher, my second star, he was 2 of 3 at the free throw line. The third star for me in the game last night is the returning Emmanuel Quickly. Very, very interesting to see. It's weird because in some ways I knew he would have an off rhythm kind of start to the game, but it's so interesting how over the course of the game, Quickly was able to get back to his game rhythm and actually be like more in tune with things. Usually guys have to have one game, they're off and trying to find their rhythm and their speed and stuff. But this dude did it pretty good. And the other thing is we noticed that Emmanuel does not have his endurance right now. He was very, very much huffing and puffing when he was coming off the court at different times. So, all in good time, even though Emmanuel had a fantastic game, 8 of 18, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, -6 with 21 points and 26 minutes. Yeah, that's fantastic for a first game back and not having really played much in the last month. So, yeah, I was so happy to see Quick back. And the one thing I'll say about IQ is when he's out there, and at the end of the game, there's an extra juice to try and close the game out and win it. In some ways, we were closer to winning this one last night than some of the games while he was absent. And I really do feel like he was a part of that because he has a determination, him and RJ together, to put the ball in the basket late in the game in a very high percentage way. And also, there's some knowledge and leadership and moxie and pluck that Emmanuel Quickly has that really helps in those high pressure situations. Man, so much really going to be good later in the future when we're healthy and these guys are really playing together on a high level. So I really, really love that. RJ wasn't as good last night. He was off just like Jakob. Both of them were a little off last night. RJ had a couple of good drives and layups that just didn't fall in. Just sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way. And the thing that Monique's mentioning about Jakob Poeltl was a bit off last night. That's true. I think that Poeltl had one of his worst games this season so far. But I was telling people in the chat last night, think about it. Jakob has if we had 10 games so far, and he's had 2 bad games out of the 10 games. He's had mostly double-doubles and played at a very high level. But for some reason, he was just off a little bit, whether he was a step too slow around Zubac, and Zubac was kind of really dominating at different times, whether he was missing shots that normally would fall in, and he was just having an off night. That's just exactly the right moniker for what happened with Jakob last night. He was 1 for 6, 12 rebounds, though, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 4 turnovers, 5 points for Jak. Yeah, it was tough. And even late in the game, when Fernando came in, and he was doing way better with Zubac, we'll talk about this in a second. I may have not played him at the end of the game, guys. And you know what? I know that they put him back in late because of rebounding purposes, but maybe on that last play, you guys are right, Kareem and Stargate, as far as Poeltl may not have in that last couple seconds of what was going on at that time. In some ways, that may have been an oversight that the coaching staff of the Raptors should have maybe said, you know what, let's not put Poeltl out there because hack a yak, and the margin is 3. So maybe there's a learning lesson there for our coaching staff as far as you don't need to play Poeltl in an offensive set. Sure, substitute him in and out for a defense and rebounding purposes, and put Battle as his counterpoint on offense. Put Battle back out there for another 3-point shooter. And when the timeout comes, then you can insert Jakob when you need to make a defensive stance or get an important defensive rebound. That may have been the alteration I would have done there. RJ Barrett, 6 of 15, 1 of 3 from 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 4 turnovers, 13 points in 30 minutes. He was just off. In some ways, RJ had a harder time operating last night. we cannot not give the Clippers some credit. With Jeff Van Gundy being there, their defense is stifling. And with it all around the center of Zubac, who's an absolute rim protector, he's a shot blocking threat. It is altering people's shots. And in some ways, we know that RJ operates near the basket, much like Pirtle. And it's no joke that both of them had poor shooting nights with the looming of Zubac around. That's a big part of it right there, guys, is what I'm going to say. Grady, 5 of 12 from the field last night. Not the best game. 15 points. He was a plus 13, so he had a winning effect. 2 assists, 1 steal. Not really stuff in the stat sheet, but Grady hitting a couple of open shots, 2 for 5, 3 for 4 at the free throw line. So yeah, Grady was fine. In some ways, that's the kind of game we may need to expect from him when we are fully healthy. And that these 30-point games that he had recently was really just him carrying in the absence of IQ and Scotty. But when IQ and Scotty are back, maybe Bruce is back too. In some ways, Grady's more paramount role that's been happening so far this season may have to go down a little bit. Some people may get mad about that and say, no, we need to go to Grady more and more. And well, we will. When he's got the hot hand, we'll feed it and we'll continue to use him that way. But if he's struggling, he's having a bit of time with his shot. Well, there's other people around, especially with IQ back. Scotty comes back. They can carry in those situations. Bruno Fernando redemption game. That's what I'm going to call this right now. Bruno, he may have gotten a DMP last night, but for some reason, Darko put him in late. And you know what? This guy showed exactly why he's valuable to be on our roster. He corralled and handled Zubac better than Jakob did last night. In fact, he really was a pain in the ass to Zubac in the late in the game. Fernando was getting in there tussling, very physical. You see how his body being wide and tall is able to handle a load like Zubac. And he was way last night. Now, he's slower player. This is the difference. And this is why he stood out in other games. But the game last night was a different style of game than what we've been playing so far this year. This game was a little bit more East Coast kind of old school NBA, like, the 90s, where it's a little bit lower scoring. It's a little more gritty, more physical. And, in some ways, the pace fit Bruno Fernando's pace of his style of play more. And he was very effective last night. Bruno, 2 of 3 from the field. He had some very emphatic scores where he got very excited and fired up. And I love that. That one left-handed dunk in the lane. Woo, that was nice. That was real nice. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 5 fouls in 9 minutes, a +9 with 4 points. Yeah, Bruno, if he had been out there a little longer and had more production, he could have easily been one of my stars last night. Because honestly, he was a game changer when he came out there. And we need to remember, Raptors freaks, even if a guy looks like crap for like a few games, there will be times where he can shine and be very useful for a certain assignment. And that was very much the case for Fernando last night. I mean, there were a lot of people in the 905 chat saying we should have not kept Bruno and should have kept Carlson on the main roster. But I'll tell you right now, Bruno Fernando handled that situation in a way that Carlson would not be able to last night. I'm just saying. And in some ways that made sense. And that was part of the reason why we kept him around. And I hope y'all saw it last night. Jamison Battle 1 for 5 from 3 last night in 14 minutes, 3 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. He's fine. He's out there. He's a good decoy. He's a good floor spacer. He's active. He does more than just shoot. He's getting out there and mixing it up and doing all kinds of stuff. He's a rookie. He just showed up. And in some ways, we're going to need to let him have a learning curve. In some ways, Jamison Battle's got a path towards becoming a full-fledged NBA player, which he probably didn't have like 6 months ago, but now he does. So don't screw it up, Battle. Take the time to really become a steady shooter, and you will have a place in the NBA for the rest of your career that you're supposed to have. I'll tell you right now. Mobo, not in for long, only 9 minutes, 0 points, a -11, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. And he didn't take a single shot. Jonathan could not play with Zubac. That was where we see Jonathan is not a backup center. Is in some ways Zubac was very much eating for us for lunch in a lot of the game. He's very dominant last night. In the first half, Zubac was a huge reason why the Clippers had anything going. Him and Powell, to be honest. And Man, that dude is so valuable. He's such a good defensive deterrent for people near the basket. And then, the way he was scoring on Jakob early in the game was like, man, nobody can stop him. Because I remember we played him last year and Jakob was hurt or out. And I was like, man, he's just eating us for lunch. This is why we need a center like Jakob. Well, even when we have a center and the center is a little bit off, the guy is still dominating and doing crazy stuff. So it's tough. Jonathan found out. I was also saying there's a moment where Jonathan had to guard James Harden, and he did a good job. He stopped them from making the layup. He played very good defense staying in front of him. And it's crazy. Jonathan's got to pinch himself to a degree because he's gotten to guard people like LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Nikola Jokic, all like in the first 10 games of his NBA career. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Davion Mitchell off the bench, 22 minutes, 7 points, 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 2 of 4. As Monique said, keep shooting, Davion. They're going to go in. Yeah, I agree with this. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, no turnovers. Once again, Davion Mitchell doing a really good job of distributing and not causing turnovers. He's a solid backup. In some ways, it's nice to have IQ back. But, Davion was pretty good as a starter. He wasn't horrible. But this is a better setup. And then Shed really getting relegated to only 5 minutes last night with no points himself. This is what's going to happen. These rookies have been able to shine so far this season because of the injuries. But guys come back. Mobo and Shed maybe not relied on as closely. And that may be the reason why they need to be on 905 is what I'd say. No DMP for Garrett Temple. He was looking classy in the suit. Yeah, just real quick, let me touch on Zubac's stat line because he was interesting. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 7 to 12 shooting. And Harden, 24 points, 12 rebounds himself with 7 assists and 4 turnovers. Yeah, he didn't shoot very well, but he got to the free throw line a lot. They put Harden on the free throw line a lot last night. And Norman Powell, 24 points, 7 of 14, 7 of 9 at the free throw line. Norman missed some free throws late. And in some ways, I was like, oh, you trying to do a solid for your old team? Help us out. And it was funny. They missed these free throws at the end of the game, and they kept showing Steve Ballmer, like pulling out the little bits of hair around his ears because he's so upset. His team was missing free throws. This is hilarious, man. Hilarious. Yeah, Norman hit the ground hard at one point. It was a little bit of a scary moment where we were kind of, as Raptors fans, worried about our Raptor champion, Norman Powell, from the other side. So there's a little bit of a look at the players from the game last night in the Clippers game. Yeah. Yak was off. RJ was off. And Davion, well, he keeps shooting. I like that. Fiercely saying, yes, at Mo, Yak was off, but at least Bruno stepped up. Yeah. Yeah, it was very refreshing to see Bruno Fernando come in and do some very quality things for the Raptors, especially since everybody's kind of been questioning, why did we keep him? Why is he on our team? Well, there you go. This is a break in case of emergency kind of thing. And sometimes he will have times to shine. There was stuff we saw from Bruno last night was some of the stuff that he did so well for Atlanta in years past. Brian's here. Good to see Brian King from To The Point. Dap, dap, dap. I love your shorts, man, on Instagram. I was watching them yesterday, Brian. You're hilarious with your takes and your outrageous delivery talking about LeBron and Drake and all the stuff you're doing right now. It's hilarious. Brian saying, what's up, Freak Nation? Missed the game, but I heard the refs played a part in it, even though they fought hard. All right, well, let me go look at the team stats real quick because there was a little bit of a free throw discrepancy in some ways. Once again, now everybody knows that James Harden is a free throw merchant. This guy is just good at baiting people into fouling. There was a moment where Grady didn't let him land, and Zach Zarba called the foul on him, and Harden got 3 free throws from this. In some ways, and then we saw Kevin Porter try and do the same thing, but he got offensive foul because he kicked out. Zarba was teaching Grady after that moment. He taught him exactly like why he called the foul on him. And it was very interesting moment to see Zarba talking to Grady. And then immediately Grady comes back on the next play and makes a nice layup drive into the lane. I'm telling you, this is the kind of way you can get respect with the refs. You go out there, you make a foul, you go and ask them, well, what can I do wrong? The refs will counsel you and teach you. And then you show that you are a player that is confidence to go and take it to them immediately after the play. Zach will be like, wow, Grady is a good kid. He listened to me, and wow, look at the effort he put in the next play and stuff like that. So that will go a long way with building these relationships with refs as you go into more and more. 11 free throws extra for The Clippers last night, they got 32 and we only got 21. And I mean, there are little dumb things that they're doing. Like RJ was bringing the ball up and he was trying to shoot, but they did a side out. And that was not the right call. That was early in the game. RJ was collecting to come up with a shoot and he got fouled. And they said they were going to put him on the free throw line at first, but then all of a sudden, no, side out. There was a little bit of like weird stuff at the beginning. The jump ball was very interesting, where Zach Zarbo was willing to give a solid to the Raptors right away. Was like Jakob hit the ball out and it was out on us. And Emmanuel, his first game back, he was a little lazy. Like he didn't full out try and go get the ball and it ran out of bounds. And Zarbo was going to give us a mulligan. He's basically going to say, yeah, it's Raptors ball. But then Nick Booker being a little bitch, being like, no, Zach, this is definitely out on the Raptors and it should be Clippers ball. And he argued with him, and that's how they got he got that switch to that. So, the refs were pretty good last night. Zarba's a good ref. Booker is mostly a good ref. And Derek Richardson's a great vet as a ref. But in some ways, it's, the hometown crowd. Once again, home advantage does really affect the calls with the refs. And then also the one big difference between the Raptors and a lot of the teams they're playing on this trip is the veteran leadership or advantage of knowledge. And James Harden is a free throw merchant because he knows how to draw fouls like crazy. DeMar DeRozan, same thing. And sometimes this is a big reason why our team is not getting to the line as much as the other team, is because of the reputation, the experience of the veterans that we're playing against know how to draw the fouls. And that's part of it. And some of our guys don't get the respect they deserve, namely Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett. There was that play where Emmanuel was absolutely pushed out of bounds by James Harden with a little push to the back that they didn't see, and they called out of bounds and we just lost the ball. That was messed up. And there were times where RJ was getting hit and fouled, and he did come and talk to them about it, but they didn't hardly put him on the line at all. So it is what it is. In some ways, I don't think that the refs were that horrible, and they weren't the reason why we lost last night, is what I'll say. But RJ only getting 2 free throws last night, that's not exactly right. Honestly, that's not exactly right to me, at least. Excuse me. Name was saying the ball caroomed off the rim. I got you, Lex. Yeah, caroomed. The ball careened off the rim. I don't know. You know what I meant. You know what I meant, Nameless. Yeah, he's not only an Italian expert, he's an English expert. That's right. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Fiercely saying we do compete extremely well. Games are so fun to watch. I know. I mean, a lot of these games in the past, if they were a Nick Nurse team before, we'd be pissed because these guys we know from the past. Freddie's got the treasure map, and Pascal and OG, these guys have been in wars. They know how to close out games and win. Well, we have an excuse with these guys. They don't know exactly what they're doing yet. They're very much green and not ripe as NBA players in certain ways with savviness and experience. So we can't get as mad if they're going to lose to James Harden, who's been in this league for so long. He's 35 years old and he's been around forever. He knows what he's doing out there. So it's a tough thing to balance, but I'm glad that, it seems like overall in Raptors Nation, the fans are not overboard reacting to the losing. There's such close games. They get it. They understand what's going on right now, and they're not being casuals and having really out of pocket, crazy, over dramatic takes because of the losses being so close. I would have to say that. And it is for sure that this is so much more fun to watch the passing and the different diversity of weapons we have on our team right now, as far as the personalities and the builds of our players, with whether it's Grady, Emmanuel, or RJ. It's very satisfying to watch, and they really are together. That's the other thing that's fun about it. You can kind of tell the vibes on teams when you're watching them, whether they're like have good vibes. And we've had a Raptors team that didn't have the best vibes in recent years. And so it's nice to see vibes are strong and very good. And it carries over to the broadcast. Brian saying 905 looked good and IQ is back. So let's keep up the positivity. That's right, Brian. And for reminding us for that, I'm going to give you a dunk. Yeah, your guy, Coach Roach, was in the 905 chat with us last night, hanging out with us in there too. So there was quite a star-studded 905 chat last night with Blake Murphy, myself, and Coach Roach. 36 dunks for you, Brian, on the dunk charts for 2024 now. That's right. I love the positivity. Most saying stars of the game for her. IQ, Oshai, and Chris. A bonus, I guess, RJ, Kennedy Chandler, DJ Carton, bonus Tyreek Key. Okay, yeah. So yeah, those are good names for both games. You only giving them 3 for down there? They won. I'm telling you, you got to give more credit, especially for Brendan Carlson. I really do owe him an apology. I know I've been very harsh, and I feel like he told me to. What was it? Like I was following him on Instagram, and then he deactivated his Instagram all of a sudden, and then when he came back, I wasn't following him all of a sudden, so I had to refollow him. I don't know. It could very well be, guy who's just trying to make the league. He's going to go out there and listen to everything that's said about him somewhere. Maybe his loved ones, maybe his wife, maybe somebody is out there and they're like, "Oh, this asshole Raptors freak saying you don't have enough muscle on you and you're not NBA ready." And maybe he was mad at me or something. I don't know. Either way, I want to apologize of Utah Utes this morning because I see you putting in that work as far as with your body. I don't you're not a good 3-point shooter and a shot blocking threat, and you're very attractive in certain ways to be on our team. But I just know that it's so crucially fundamentally important. If you're a center in this league, you cannot be pushed around like what I was seeing down there. In some ways, this has been part of the issue with Chris Boucher and his whole entire career. Is he's supposed to be a low post player, and he's had to learn how to deal with his body type in this situation to be effective and not be a complete liability on defense. Well, this is what I was seeing the parallels with Carlson. But if he can put more muscle on him and he can hold more ground and he can be the big dog in the lane in games that he's playing, starting on the G League, well, maybe he does have a path to get back to the NBA and get in there and be in the main game. So we'll see. Some people are always saying we need to call him up already and just waive for now. Really don't agree with that. I think that there may be a possibility for Brendan Carlson to get brought up to the main squad, just like all the stuff that was happening at the end of the season last year with all the call-ups that we did from 905. So I think he's going to get his chance at some point this season to make his NBA debut. So stay working, Brendan. You're on your way. And if I said anything to insult you, I apologize because, man, that double-double last night and the dominance you showed in the 905 game was eye-opening. And it shows that you have a fire and you are willing to fight to get your NBA career still. And I like that. I like that a lot, man. Big time respect for Carlson this morning. Seriously. Mo's saying that I'm guessing no Anthony Davis. Well, no, he's probable. So that means he's probably going to play today because that's, probable means is very likely. So, yeah, we'll probably see him tonight. But he is, somewhat hurt. So we'll see. I mean, I think that the Lakers, since we played them the first time, they've had trouble. They actually lost to Detroit the next game after, and then they went and lost to Memphis. Now they won their last game against the Sixers on Friday night against Nick Nurse and the struggling injured Sixers. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Not everything is going as smoothly for the Lakers at this point as it was when they came to Toronto over a week ago, because they were on a big win streak. They've lost a lot more since. So I think they're 5-4 right now. So, they're gettable, honestly. And we have a scout on them. And who knows? Maybe with IQ back, that bolsters us enough to beat the Lakers tonight. That is the game tonight that we're previewing for tonight. That's right. Kareem saying if games were 45 minutes, we'd be undefeated. Man, you're so witty, man. And Kareem, thank you for shouting us out on the 905 chat last night. I saw what you said, man, and that really touched my heart, man. And I appreciate that you think that the best pregame in Raptors world is this Raptor Freak channel. It was really, really nice of you, man. And yeah, there were Pensair stands in there, and the Raptor Freak family was in there standing too. And I appreciate that. And I know there's some crossover between the nations. But man, you guys, I appreciate you guys so much. And Team RFF forever, man. 440 dunks for you, Kareem Thomas, for standing for us in the chat last night. Hilarious. Yeah, and that's also for the joke right there. Brian saying at Mo, got your friend request on Facebook and saw some of your pics. You are an inspiration with an infectious smile. Alley-oop to you. Monique is the heart and soul of the Raptor Freak family. Monique is the bona fide, 100% legit, authentic Raptors super fan for as long as the team's been around. She has been that kind of fan, and she's a historian. She is a pundit. She is a media savant on about it, Brian. But yes, we need to respect Mo. And Mo, you've done some shows in the past. Maybe you should be on To the Point with Brian at some point. I know that you've done interviews and been on different content in the past. Maybe you should do some more shows, and maybe Brian could get you on there. Who knows? To the Point's a great show to be on. And it may be a very good format for you, Mo, if you wanted to do his show at some point. So, Brian, you should consider that, man, and see if she'd be willing to do your show with you, man. Mo's saying Brendan Carlson turning heads throughout one game. Yeah, I was really impressed with him. This dude's got a fire and a spirit to him that he wants an NBA career. And I recognize that, Brendan Carlson. You come and get it. You come and get it. We put that carrot in front of you. You go grab it. You go grab it. That's right. Mo's saying, appreciate you, Brian. There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Y'all should all follow Mo. I'm serious. If you're not following Mo on every platform you can, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Facebook's the place, though, because a lot of her write-ups are up on Facebook. If you don't know, that superfan Monique Lawrence does a write-up after the games, and she just gives us all of her views and perspectives of what she saw in the games that night, and they're always on point. She's just a very, very good writer, and a lot of the stuff is so insightful. In some ways, I try not to read her stuff too much before I come on, because I don't want to steal her talking points, because she is just so on it. So I'm telling you, you want to have a great recap, follow Monique on Facebook. So you will get some good information. Kareem's saying, I wish Brendan Carlson logged minutes like the rest of the rookies. He would have been so far along. Anyways, he's going to get lots of burn, and by 2025, he'll crack the rotation. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Everything all in its right due time. He's got to continue to dominate the G League. And if he does that, well, he may have very much an invite to come up and get a 10-day, or maybe even, who knows, they switch two ways around and do something. Who knows? The front office could do some stuff, and he could end up being a full-fledged Raptor by the end of the year still. So anything's possible. He's still within our organization. And I was surprised Cool Cat was like, I thought we got rid of him completely. I was like, I told y'all that we kept him around because he's going to be good for our 905 program. And that's what happened right there. That's right. Mo's saying Bruno came to play for sure. Well, you get those DMPs. In some ways, you get a little worried. And well, the coach calls your number. You get out there and you better show something, because he may not call your number ever again, at least for a whole season, if you do not show when he does call you. And he did. He came out there, was very effective. One of the best people to try and stop Zubac last night, who was absolutely the most dominant player on the court in that game. In a lot of ways, he really was. He really, really was. He really annoys me, because I was like, okay, Jakob was a step late on trying to guard him, and he was making layups over him. Jakob was a little quickly to get to the rebounds, and he was off with his shots. And then also he's having a little bit of hand trouble with people trying to hand him passes and him fumbling the ball. Jakob was just off in general last night. And there was one other game recently where he was like this. That's why I said there was like 2 out of the 10 games that played this year, Jakob has not been exactly right. And last night was one of them. That's for sure. Monique saying, I wish we cut off Norman's shooting. Man, he was crazy. The first 2 threes that Norm made, like that first one, he got fouled by Grady, and it was a 4-point play. He shouldn't have made that shot. It was insane. It was like a bank, and he does his crazy elevation shot that he always has done. I love Norman's crazy shot because he kind of like levitates, right? You ever seen Norman Powell take a 3? He jumps up, and his legs are so like straight down. It looks like he's levitating off the ground. It's crazy, man. But I love Norm, man. As they said on the broadcast, he's very much a beloved Raptor and a real part of our history. And man, this dude is he's a champion with us, and we love Norman, and his success in some ways, even if it's against us, is our success still. The broadcast for the Clippers are idiots. They're or was it the Clippers that said it? Yeah, I think it was. No, it was the NBA Today people or NBA Channel people. They're saying the Raptors draft pick Norman Powell is going to visit his team or play his team that he was drafted by. I'm like, that's not actual truth. You guys in the pregame are trying to say that Norman was drafted by the Raptors, but that's not true. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks, and then traded to the Raptors almost immediately. So, man, some people got to get fact checked on what they're trying to say. And saying that he was a Raptors draft pick is not accurate. Norman was drafted by the Bucks, and that's part of the reason why he's playoff pal against them because he traded him almost right away, and he's mad at them for that. So, but yeah, and I also love seeing Amir Johnson on the bench for the Clippers. They talked about him for a bit, and RJ did have an interview recently where he said that Amir Johnson was one of his favorite players when he was a kid, watching the Raptors. You know, his era is the young guns. As RJ when he was a kid is Terrence Ross, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Sonny Weems, and Amir Johnson. And I love that RJ looked up to Amir Johnson, and in some ways, it informs kind of a little bit how he plays. Is Amir Johnson and being a fan of him. So, and once again, Amir Johnson's more of a important 15 to me in some ways than the guy who just got his jersey retired up in the rafters. So when I know Vince's face is on there. If they had just put the number 15 on the banner, I would have been saying that's Amir Johnson's number retired up there. I'm so glad Amir, after the G League Ignite got disbanded, has fallen on his feet or landed on his feet, as Fred and Nick said about Nick that one time. And he's an assistant coach for the Clippers at this point. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool to see him there. Very, very cool. That's right. Let's see. Let's keep going in the chat. No. Oh, it jumped ahead a little bit. I'm going to make sure I don't miss any of y'all's comments. I don't know why this jumped so far. Wow. Love seeing everybody filling it up this morning. We got lots to talk about today. Blackhawks here. Neil, you were here. I took it directly to Blake Murphy about Jamal Shead in the 905, and he thinks he's going to play on the 905 this season. Blackhawks saying Darko working magic with Bruno. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just light a fire under his ass. Don't play him for a while and then say, hey, we need you to go out there and do this. And Bruno was up for the challenge. Once again, I'll say the pace of the game last night was more conducive to Bruno's strengths. And in some ways, the very fast, frenetic, crazy defense and the way the Raptors have played most of the season so far, Bruno sticks out like a sore thumb because he's not necessarily that kind of energy player. He's more of a big load and somebody who could do stuff like what he did last night in trying to neutralize Zubac. And that was very, very, very useful. There's some red meat in the chat. Is that for the refs for tonight? Getting steaks for everybody? And most saying, believe in Andrew. I like that. Believe in Drew. Yeah, it was awesome. It's such a heartwarming moment to see the team celebrating with him, throwing the water on top of him in the locker room in Delaware last night. Well, they got to keep going. They got another game coming up tomorrow night. The 905 will continue their season. Who are they playing tomorrow? Let me just look at it real quick. I believe they are playing College Park Skyhawks. This is the interesting thing. The 905 are kind of throwing the fire in an unfair way to the season because they start the season completely on the road. They don't play in Mississauga until like their sixth game of the season. So they have 5 road games to start the season. And they're going to Atlanta next. They'll go from Delaware on. I don't know if they fly or they take a bus. Sometimes the G Leagues actually do still travel on a bus. It's crazy. And they're going to Atlanta, and they'll play against the Atlanta Hawks G League teams, College Park Skyhawks, on Monday. So that's your next chance to see Urushamshe. And we'll see if we have as many people in the chat as we did on Saturday. Some of them only came just to see the first day of Shamshe. We'll see if Blake Murphy and the other ones are going to be back. We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to check that out. Smooth's here. Good to see Smooth Brown Man, the Ahmad Rashad of the Raptor Freak family. Well, maybe they steal the Lakers game tonight. The losses, while entertaining, have to be frustrating. Toronto needs a win tonight. It's all perspective and how you look at it. The guys are upbeat. They're saying the right things. It's not that they accept the losing. It's not that they want the losing. But RJ and Emmanuel saying that it's really looking positive, and we're getting closer. In some ways, the young team needs to learn how to win. And in some ways, you got to learn how to win in the NBA through. It's not just like as easy as like score more than them or do this more than them. In some ways, you have to have the mental capacity to understand the way that NBA games are and how much you have to do to close it out. In some ways, it's like a mental thing along with the physical and the athletic talent ability thing to match all that, to make it to happen that way. Sure, you can do more on the court to ensure you're going to win by getting a bigger margin and holding them off. Sure, you could do more and like making your free throws and doing different things like that. But let's not get it twisted. Even though this team is losing, They're very, very smart and aware that it's okay. And that it's not that it's okay and they're going to be a loser team going forward. No, they know they're going to improve and figure out the ways to win as they go along. It's a work in progress. And the great thing is, and this is important, and this is what happened last year when we sailed the ship through all the change in the wedgie year of switching our rosters so dramatically in the middle of the season. The guys stayed upbeat because of Darko's culture and the way he coaches them. And they could have easily gotten dragged down in all the losing in the second half of last season. At the end of the year, they were all very positive and upbeat and looking forward to the future and thinking that things are going to be so bright. So that's what I'm saying right now. Once again, these players are not changing their attitude on, just because they're losing so many close games. Maybe a veteran team that's expected to close the games out and win them, they may be getting depressed and sad about losing games so close. But a young team, they're like, hey, we're competing with a top level teams in the NBA and hanging with them. And when we figure out how to win these close games, it's all over for them. And we do still have the excuse that there's big money sitting on the bench named Scotty Barnes. That's a big part of our salary cap. It's funny when they asked RJ about Emmanuel Quickly coming back yesterday in the practice interview. He said that's $157 million coming back. That's what he said. And that is a really big part of understanding part of what's been happening so far this season. So I don't know. I don't know if they're as frustrated as you think. In some ways, and it's not that we want to get used to like this kind of stuff happening. It's just that these are great lessons, great learning lessons, and they're going to progress faster. And in some ways, we could say they're more advanced at what they're doing with the rebuild than we thought they would be. I've honestly thought if we're going to be playing rookies so much, if you told me at the beginning of the season we're going to be playing 4 rookies pretty prominently already in the beginning of the season, I would say we're going to probably be losing games by 20 points around there, a lot of them. But that's not the case. And so we've got to look at where we are in the category of like how much the deficit is we're losing by, and be kind of like, this is optimistic and this is actually really good, because you add Scott into the mix. Well, maybe that's just that little bit amount to get us over the hump and absolutely beat them. Kaz is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to Kaz Trucker. Kaz, 10-4 good buddy. And he's not on the road this morning. He is home. It's Sunday. That's right. Cream saying, stupid Penn Sarah and idiots were in the chat. This is our stomping grounds. I encourage every 905 game, get on the live stream and just say Raptor Streak, even if you can't stay. I'm a little bit territorial. I was a little bit like that at first. And in some ways, I was like, is this where I want to go after him? Like right here? Because I really was thinking about it for a little bit. But I was also like, you know what? I want peace in the Middle East. And I'm not trying to start things. If he had one comment towards me that was a little bit of a snobby kind of bullshit. I made one comment saying, they could put one highlight in the highlight reel of the halftime for the Raptors 905, seeing as they're winning by like 15 at half. And they're showing their lowly ass blue coat thing. And everybody's like, well, it's their broadcast. Of course they're not going to put us on. And the Penserites and them, they kind of jumped on me a little bit for being like, oh, you're a dummy. You don't know that this is their broadcast. I'm like, I don't care what they think and what they say. I still stand on it that, they don't give enough highlights to the Raptors in the YouTube channel for the NBA. We know that's true. And, the main broadcast for the Raptors shows the opposing team's highlights sometimes at halftime. So they could have thrown in like one of the crazy blocks that the Raptors 905 did, whether it's DJ Carton or Ulrich Shamshay, that circus shot that DJ Carton did, whatever. Either way, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I was biting my lip a little bit. And I was like thinking, is this the time or the place to go ahead and go in on him? But I didn't. I didn't at that moment. In some ways, it would have came out of nowhere. In some ways, if he had said anything more out of pocket towards me, it would have been on. It would have been on. I doubt he's going to show up some more, honestly. It is a real grind to cover the Raptors and the 905 at the same time and watch it all. And, those guys were there showing up was really just because it was Shamshay's first G League game, and they were very curious to see him. But we'll see who's going to hang around for the whole entire year or something like this. Could develop over time. That could be a little part of the side fun of watching 905 games. Is Lex going to get into it with Hughes shall not be named if he's going to be lurking around too? Yeah, it's good to see Coach Roach in there also. It was a star-studded cast of Raptors content makers in the 905 YouTube chat last night. Blake Murphy, official bona fide Raptors show, also in there. Yeah. Yeah, good morning. Yes, that's awesome. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, laugh out loud. Get him, KT. Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Blake was very helpful. We asked him some questions and he was answering people. And that Daniel guy, you guys thought he was AI or whatever his name was. He was writing out the score and updates and stuff. I think that that kid was just maybe a little like me, like a little autistic, and that's just the way that he like expresses himself. But I like how he stood up for himself. Some people were saying like, "What are you doing, man? Why are you saying this?" And he's like, "I will not apologize for my delivery and what I'm saying." I'm like, "You go, kid." In some ways, you're annoying because you're saying the Raptors are down and they may be in trouble, even though it's the first quarter still. But otherwise, I mean, let people be people. And you have no idea what that guy's like in real life. It could be that this dude is just a really diehard fan and he's a good dude. And that's what I'll say about that part of the chat in the 905 chat last night. Is really weird. Smooth saying, why are the Raptors so bad at free throws, though? That's very strange, man. I won't say that this is true, though. I think that in some ways there's different nights. You have good and bad nights. I'd say that last night the wall was very much a factor. Like they'd never seen something like this in the league. Not only that, the scoreboard, the Jumbotron is unique and different. As Trevor said, Trevor was at the game last night. Trevor J, our commissioner of fun, he wrote me last night and he said, Lex, this arena is beautiful. It is like something from a storybook. That is what Trevor's own words were last night about the new Intuit Dome. He said, it looks like it's from a storybook. So it's a little bit of a weird environment that's very new and novel to our Raptors. Even our vets like Jakob and Chris, they've never been in that arena before until last night. So, like I said, there's in some ways an orientation to a brand new NBA arena that has to be kept into factor. And the dimensions and the way that that wall is not exactly the same kind of backdrop that you deal with in the NBA as far as the people trying to confuse you and make you miss the free throws. So all getting your bearings and figuring it out, and who knows, maybe they shoot way better in there in the future. But yeah, a little bit of DR DeRozan factor kind of going on last night with the free throws. Definitely when it's right around 50%. Yeah, that's really bad free throws last night. And it's too bad. It's too bad. Blackhawks saying they will get better. It just takes a few more games. Yeah, I believe that too. And the free throws are going to be up and down depending on certain nights. We've seen the Raptors shoot very well at the free throw line also this year, where they only miss like 2 or 3 free throws the whole entire game. We've also seen them be very bad at the free throw line. Last night may have been the worst free throw shooting game they've had so far this year because they shot like 57% at the free throw line. Actually, let's do the team stats right now since we're on this topic. Let me see. Where am I at with this? All right, yeah. Okay, for the Raptors last night, we shot 42% and they shot 46%. So they outshot us, shot better, and they shot way less shots than us. We manufactured almost 20 more shots than them, shot attempts, but we still made we made a much lower percentage. That we beat them at 3-point shooting. We got one more three than them. The free throw line was a big problem. They doubled us up at the free throw line in points productions, and we did shoot 57% from free throws. They got way more free throw attempts also. I'm not going to blame that because in some ways that's the respect and the knowledge of James Harden to unlock being a free throw merchant. The rebounds, we got out rebounded by 3 by the end of the game. The assists, we got 26, which was very good. 8 steals, 5 blocks. We had 10 turnovers, so we were taking care of the ball pretty good last night. Emmanuel comes back. We did pretty good with taking care of the ball. Fast break points, they actually outscored us on that. So they were out there running. They really capitalized on the few times where we did turn the ball over in the first half and got out running and really took it back at us. Points in the paint, we beat them there 52-48, even with the lurking Zubac, who's absolutely a threat for shot blocking. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's a close loss to the Clippers last night. That's what it is. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying, realistically, playing hard has to start to translate to some W's. Playing hard and losing has a shelf life. The effort has to translate into the desired result, man. Well, we don't know how much there being mechanics under the hood. Smooth is what I'm saying. In some ways, it's about winning every day and not necessarily winning the game. That will come at some point. And when they say win the day, that means that there's short little mini goals that are around what they're doing to progress to get better and better. This is part of the secrets of Darko's development is that, they're looking at very compartmentalized aspects of the game and giving these guys challenges to progress and show progress on. So even if you're not winning the games outright, if you're showing progress in those areas, you can still have a real feel of achievement and kind of like building towards something bigger. So I get it. In some ways, you get jaded if you lose a lot. Oh, sure. But the upbeatness and the way that these guys are going about it, it's evident that they're not getting jaded because the effort is top notch in all these games as far as getting after it and getting around the court and playing defense and just hustling. So there's indicators that are showing that the vibes are very strong still, even if they're losing. But yeah, there's a shelf life to this. It's like let's check in on this and like halfway through the season after 40 games of the season and see how these guys are feeling through it, depending on how much we've been winning or losing. But we'll see. We'll see. The great thing is that Darko's so organized in the way he's doing things that these guys have mini goals and they can feel success even if they're not totally winning as a team. Smooth saying other guys are going to check out. I'm just saying, well, they don't allow this. This is the thing. Maybe that happens on a Nick Nurse coach team because he's not very much a people person. He's like, we're going to be here. We're going to do this. I expect this kind of, and he's very cold outside the game and not connected. Darko is very on top of keeping people confident and upbeat. And if he sees this kind of stuff, even in some certain individual, like say Jacoby gets down all of a sudden, he's going to focus on him and bring him up and get him to the right place. So I would say this. You think people are going to check out? I don't think that's going to be possible on this team. Because first of all, Darko, the way he is and his personality, he cares and he's genuine and he's going to be there to counsel and almost, whatever they're going through. And overall, most of the guys understand, like older players like Kelly, Chris, RJ, Emmanuel, they get it and they'll be able to help counsel the younger guys if they start getting in their own heads and a little down and stuff like that. I'm not worried about this. In some ways, you should worry about this if you're the Sixers right now because the bad vibes are abounding around there. And in some ways, their coach is not any kind of psychologist to help his team get out of it mentally. In some ways, he may make it worse because he's an asshole and he may yell at them more. And they're like, well, fuck this. I hate this. No, that's not what's be that you have this feeling that this might happen, Smooth, because of the past with Nick Nurse and how people checked out on him. But this is a different coach we've got right now. And this is one of the benefits of having Roy Yakovich. Just trust me on this. Yeah. Trevor's saying, take extra care of three things in life: promise, friendship, and relationship, because they don't make noise, but when they break, they create silence. That's an interesting word of wisdom. That's weird. Trevor, I'm so happy you're in LA right now. Going to go to the Laker game tonight also. Trevor's been to 3 NBA games in a row in the last few nights. He was at the Laker game on Friday night when they beat the Sixers, and he went to the Intuit Dome last night, and now he's going to go see the Raptors play at Crypto against the Lakers tonight. Yeah, that's an interesting comment right there. Let me see if old Leo has woken up and done his words of wisdom yet this morning. Let's see if he's got it down there. Yeah, there it is. He's saying focusing on one thing that you are grateful for increases the energy of gratitude and rises the joy inside of you. In some ways, I know I'd love for us to be winning right now as much all of us would, but the gratitude I have for this young core and the joy of watching them is really getting me through this dark time right now that's going on with this event that happened this last week. In some ways, me focusing on the Raptors is therapy for me to just kind of like not dwell on some of the ugliness politically that's going on around the world. And I love that. And that's why I have gratitude for the Raptors, even if they're losing right now. And if you had told me the Raptors could be 2-8 and start the season like this, and I'm perfectly happy and like okay with it, I would have told you you're crazy like a couple of years ago because I'm that competitive about them winning. But right now, I get the plan. I get the scene of the room, the read of the room, and my gratitude for the NBA, the Toronto Raptors, is very high right now, and it's overshadowing a lot of darkness around me. And I appreciate that, Leo Routens, with your words of wisdom. Kid from Kiel, returning from the Sunshine State with the dog. And yeah, he was in the airport yesterday with the dog. All right, let's see. Blackhawk's saying there's an old saying: it's better to play smart than hard. They will get smarter so they can keep leads in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it's all like a learning process, and each team has a education for us. Each team has an education for us, a lesson for that day. And we've got to also remember this: not only are we missing Scotty and a lot of key players around our team, It is one of the strongest schedules to start the season. We need to remember that the teams we're playing, most of these teams were all in the playoffs last year that we're playing so far, and we're not getting as many cream puffs to start the season. So that's that. The game against Charlotte that we lost in Charlotte, that was the one that annoyed me the most because in some ways that's the one we should have definitely beat. But the other games, I get it. You're on the road, you're on West Coast swing, the first West Coast trip for these rookies. These are very good teams. Very, very good teams, some of them. The Clippers, I'm not so sure about. They're in trouble. They're going to have a long season. It is interesting to see Kawhi on the bench. They showed him for a second. He's wearing a hat and he's got very long dreads right now. And it was funny. Jack said, "Penny for your thoughts." Penny for your thoughts. That's such an old saying, but it's so apropos. Like I would give a penny to hear what Leonard's thoughts are when he's sitting there watching the Raptors play against the Clippers like that. Because honestly, Kawhi's got to have some sort of regret about exiting Toronto and leaving possibly a repeat championship on the table. I mean, he's got to be lying to himself. I know he said he didn't think the Raptors were good enough to repeat, but that team had a better record after you left, and they were still competing at a high level. And you could have won maybe another championship in the bubble against the Lakers in the summer of 2020, Kawhi Leonard. So, man, what could be? I wonder what Kawhi thinks when he sits there and he watches his team from the bench being hurt, and he sees Alex McKechnie sitting behind the other bench down the way of the court. I wonder what he is thinking. He's like, "Oh man, Dr. Alex, man, oh man, I wonder what he is." A penny for his thoughts. I might even pay a little bit more, Jack, to find out what Kawhi Leonard is thinking there during the middle of the game. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying that dunk, my Bruno woke the whole building up. That was nasty. That's nasty. Yeah, Bruno got fired up, and it was a lefty dunk too, which was really fun. That's one of the cool things that you see with RJ and some of the other players near the basket. When you got Zubac out there and he's a threat to block your shot, you got to use the rim and be smart. Maybe use another defender to get them in between you and Zubac, because Zubac is coming to try and block you. And in some ways, that was part of the reason why some of these guys were missing a lot of layups last night, was because they heard footsteps, and that dude was very much a presence. So it's very fun to see how crafty RJ can be with like using the rim to protect from shot blocking or high off the glass, or even like using another Clipper to kind of give him a screen to get around to try and get open to get to the basket to lay it in. But alas, both Jakob and Barrett were having trouble getting the ball to fall through the hoop. It was just one of those nights. And in some ways, it's like, I know our guy's name is Off Day. I don't want our other guys to have off days because off days around. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, Blackhawk saying that was a thunderous dunk. It was very, very cool. And I loved seeing that for Bruno, because in some ways, getting DMPs, that could be part of what could get you down and get you a little morose, like what Smooth was saying. Is kind of like, oh man, I'm not getting to play and this sucks. Well, he got a little redemption. He got some get back and get out there and some of that energy and showed some of that fire. And that was nice to see. Very, very nice to see. Wayne's here. Good to see Wayne Strainer, our sergeant at arms of the RFF. Love the game. Totally glad to see Bruno finally looking like a basketball player. Mitchell and Shed should not be taking shots with Grady, Quickly, RJ, or Battle on the court. Otherwise, good game. We're going to need them to take the shots when they're open. And obviously, they were laying off of Davion Mitchell quite a bit last night. So he did get quite a few shots. And some of them he made, and some of them he did not. I mean, I get your philosophy on this, but some ways we got to also remember the defense is going to like channel the water the way they want it through the floodplain. And if they're channeling all the water away from RJ and Grady because of the way they do their plan for defense, it's tough. In some ways, that's why we need Davion Mitchell to hit his open shots so that they have to respect him, and then they will come out and guard him also. But yeah, I thought it was a fun game, and they hung with them, and they did have an opportunity to win the game, but alas, it just didn't happen. It's very close though. It's almost like what I say. I always use the analogy: the Raptors need the treasure map to win the games, the close games at the end, like Fred knew. And in some ways, we're building that treasure map right now. We're drawing it up. And it's getting more and more clear, the image of how to get to the treasure chest of a win in an NBA game. But we're still figuring it out. It's not totally clear. Kaz is saying, shout out to Oshai. I was out on him at the start of the season. I'm glad to say he's proved me wrong. There's a few of y'all that were like, yeah, Oshai this, Oshai that. And there, you circle back and you're apologizing and saying, you know what, I was wrong. I was maybe tough on you. You know, summer league was really bad for Oshai. Let's not get it twisted. And it was scary because, you know, that level of talent, he should be absolutely dominating as a third year against guys who haven't even taken his NBA court yet. And it scary. It could have been a wake up call for him at that time too, where it's like, oh crap, dude, you're not hitting the things that you need to hit at this point. And maybe he accelerated his workouts and his what he was trying to do by the end of the summer after summer league happened in the middle of the summer. Because whatever happened, well, the work he put in, it's showing off now. But it didn't show up in summer league. And even in the training camp and preseason, he didn't look as sharp right away. But boy, has he looked sharp since. And I'm really proud of that for him because honestly, Oshai is a kind of player that can make the front office look really good. And he's a reclamation project. And we're getting a lot of good quality out of him as a role player on our team right now. And that's really, really good. Trevor's saying, Intuit Dome, that place is crazy. Did y'all see that wall with all the jerseys? Yeah, they showed it on TV outside in the hallway. That apparently, those are all the jerseys for all the high schools in the entire state of California. There aren't player jerseys necessarily. They just decided to get a jersey, one jersey from every single high school team in the whole state of California and put it up on the wall. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting idea by Steve Ballmer. Now, in some ways, that place is really cool. Like I saw the court outside too, Trevor. That there's a little like outdoor part of it where it's all concrete. There's no cars, and it's kind of like a gathering place. They have a place like that in Milwaukee. Of course, the Winnipeg Jets of the NHL have a kind of a little like a gathering place outside for fans to kind of tailgate or hang out before the game. But having that court out there and the way it was set up is very beautiful. You know, it's interesting that LA has two arenas now, and well, the Clippers have the better arena. That's just the damn truth. They really do. Blackhawks saying when reporters are in players' ears about shooting, eventually the players are going to shoot. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I listen, shooters got to shoot. You can't stop shooting. You stop shooting, you die in the NBA. This is how it is. You got to shoot, and you can't be afraid to shoot either. That's for sure. Because then your career may be over. Trevor's saying IQ back like he never missed a beat. Oshai is turning to be a problem for teams. Yeah, he's good on both ends. He's a great person to catch some of the tougher guards on the other side. And he's doing a little bit of like the carrying the torch for OG Anunoby for sure. And some of the things he's doing, he's not OG. Let's just not get it twisted. But to a certain extent, he is helping us in some of the areas where OG would have helped us in the past. And that's important. IQ was rough at the beginning. His rhythm was a little bit off in the first quarter, but as the game got going, he got more and more with it. And once again, IQ's ability to hit threes just out of the blue all of a sudden, very confidently, is a huge bonus for the Raptors team. And something that is very, very much like so happy to see back last night as far as things. It's refreshing. And then also our IQ had some really nice drives to the basket late in crunch time to try and keep the Raptors in the game to strike to win. And that's the stuff I'm talking about with the Fred VanVleet treasure map to the win. That IQ, being the point guard, in some ways was directing and helping carry to get there. RJ was doing a little bit himself also. He had a key basket late to try and keep it close so that we could strike for the win. So they're going to put it together, and all of a sudden we're going to have a breakthrough. And, you know, these wins will start coming at some point, guys. It may be when Scott returns. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Let's see. Wayne saying RJ and Jakob have been carrying the team. There's no way I'm critical of these guys. Adjusting to IQ must be a factor. And I guarantee you we're going to have a great in-season tournament to set us off. You know, this is a great prediction, Wayne, and I will get behind you and double down and second what you're saying. The fact that Milwaukee is in disarray is absolutely opportune for the Raptors on Tuesday. The Giannis dilemma, the things with Gary Trent being hurt, Dame Lillard, the confusion, Doc Rivers is still their coach. Yeah, in some ways, Milwaukee's ripe for the picking to get an in-season tournament win against them on Tuesday. Now, the referees may be a factor in this for NBA storylines and the way they want things to happen. But honestly, you know, I'm okay with losing close games like what we've been doing recently. But an in-season tournament game, it's winnable against a team that's weakened right now, even though if it's on their home court. Well, that's when I really do want to win. That's one that we should get up for and try and do it because in some ways that game is worth twice as much as just a regular 82 game season game. So, oh man, yeah, we need to get up for this Tuesday game and make a good effort and hopefully piece it together and figure out the way to win it. Seriously, and we have a good chance. I really do feel like it. I love that you don't want to be critical of Jakob and RJ. People are human. They're going to have ups and downs in their games, and in some ways, I appreciate that you're. It's not that you're giving them a pass. We're saying, you know what, they're not going to have a perfect night every night. RJ shot at a very high percentage most of this year and have gotten a lot of points. So if he has a little bit of a down night, Jakob is a little bit off too. It's going to happen from time to time, very much. And this is a good point too about IQ coming back in the lineup. Everybody kind of shifts in their shots, they shot attempts they get. They shift in like the way that the offense is running. Obviously, Shed doesn't play as much. In some ways, you got to factor in IQ and fitting him in, and things change, and that is definitely an adjustment. Definitely an adjustment. Fiercely saying, speaking of low ticket prices, Sixers are selling $3 tickets. Didn't check for which game though. Not interested. That may be behind the pillar, absolutely at the top of the dome, like at the very high at the rafters. I mean, $3 tickets. That to me may be like, all right, are they charging them to stand outside like Jurassic Park? I mean, like that's crazy. $3 tickets in the NBA. That's a phenomenal price. I'm probably pretty sure it's probably something what I just said. Brian's saying best two things about the G League was 905 winning and Bronny with 5 turnovers, 2 of 10 from the field. I feel bad for him that his dad forced him into this therapy in the future. Yeah, that could very well be true. It is what it is. Bronny probably didn't have any choice about this in some ways. Maybe he did. He could have been like, Dad, I'm not that into basketball. Honestly, maybe if he was around 10 years old, he's like, Dad, I'm not. What would LeBron say? You say, shut up. You are into basketball. You are my son, and you have a legacy to fulfill. And we're like, but Dad, I really want to be an occupational therapist. I don't really want to be in basketball. I'd rather be a trainer and help people. No, no, no. Those are great people, and they've helped me a lot in my career to stay healthy. But listen, I need you to play a game with me in like 10 years from now when you're 20 years old because we want to make history. But Dad, I don't really like basketball. No, shut up. You're doing it. I mean, is that what happened? I don't know. I think that Bronny is a willing participant, but by the end of it, he may regret what's happened with him, honestly, because man, he's taken a lot of uh, trolling. He's taking a lot of jokes. He's taking a lot of this and that. And in some ways, it's sad because like it's such a paramount on the global stage. ESPN covering it so closely. If he fails, and the more he fails, the more people like me are like, "Yeah, we told you so." And if he does do well, in some ways, it's gonna be like, "Well, he's never gonna be like his dad." So he can't win on this. He can't win on this, and he's in an impossible position. It sucks in some ways. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, man. You're going in on them. Brian, on to the point, you're going in on them. I seen what you were doing. The circus, you're calling them a circus. Trevor saying, love how IQ reacted to the Clippers fans after he hit that dagger 3. Yeah. Yeah. IQ's like that, man. That brand new arena, those fans were voracious. They were loud. They were engaged. They were absolutely having a factor on our free throws. And meanwhile, Emmanuel makes a big key dagger late in the game, and he starts yelling at the crowd like, ah, ah. I was like, I love that, man. That's the moxie I'm talking about right there. Fiercey Salsero. That's the moxie. That's a moxie right there. Yeah, Brian's saying, Mo, you tell me what day and what time you want to come on the show. I'll roll out the red carpet for you. There you go. So you got an invite if you ever want to appear on To The Point. Monique, you've got that option. Let's see. How many who shall not be named people are paid for bots? A question of rhetoric sort. Well, he who shall not be named is a very specific person named Robert that you know. And that's who we talk about when we're that. We give him the Voldemort treatment, partly because 2 or 3 years ago when I started this channel, he was a very much a topic on this channel a lot because he was going after Fred so much. And I'm very much a Fred stan. I love Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet is a very honored Raptor. I think his jersey should be retired by the Raptors eventually. And I think that a lot of the misguided hate towards Fred VanVleet a couple years ago was led by Robert Pensair of Pensair Basketball. And this is where we have a very ideological divide. And in some ways, we talked about him quite often to the point where I didn't even want to say his name anymore on the channel. And I banned him from the chat. And not him, but the word from the chat. And we started just calling him He Who Shall Not Be Named. So that's what that is about. Bots following him, maybe tonight. Davis may not play. It could be true. That could be true. And he has been playing the last 2 games, so we'll see. But he's doing double duty. He's playing South Beach Lakers also, along with regular Laker games. If we see Kurloko today, well, at least it's not in Toronto in front of our fans. But man, in some ways, it'll be really kind of disheartening to see him in that purple and gold against us tonight, considering the whole debacle of what happened over the saga of Christian and his blood clots. It was really crazy. Good morning, Rapid Free Crew. Great game. Cool Cats in the house. Coach, good to see you. I saw you in the 905 chat near the end there. And you were surprised about Carlson being on the 905 still. Yeah, in some ways, they, even though they took us two-way away, he was still the rights to our team. And him being on the Raptors 905 is a pleasant surprise. And you know what? We'll see what happens. He impressed me last night with his double-double. And the way this season's going with injuries and the things that are going on with the team, it's very likely he's going to get to play on the main roster at some point, maybe on a 10-day. He'll get called up or something like that. We'll have to see. But good to see you, Cool Cat. Fantastic to see you back in the chat today. Fiercely saying Oklahoma City kept losing 3 and 4 seasons ago, but they stayed together and hustled. Look at what they accomplished last season. Inexperience led them to lose the Western Finals, though, all part of the process. It's stair steps. And on that escalator, you got to go up to the certain position you are in the hierarchy of the NBA in different ways. And there are ceilings for each year that you're in the league. And in some ways, we've just got to start the climb once again. And this is a great comparison. I think that Fiercey's right on it with this. As far as the Thunder did not win right away with SGA in Oklahoma City. And it's been a work in progress. And now you see the stage they're in. That's why impatience and over criticizing and getting too caught up in the process of rebuilding can be very toxic and detrimental to, losing all the progress you've made. And sometimes fans get impatient and they're like, whoa, we need to fire Darko because this is not winning. And oh, we need to do this, trade this player because this isn't it. No, give it some time and let it cook. And it'll be smelling good and tasting good in a couple of years from now. So watch. And the Thunder are a great example for this, and the patience that they've shown is starting to pay off in dividends right now. And that's what we need to do ourselves and mimic in that kind of way. So Raptors fans, strap yourself in. There's a lot of good stuff happening for our team right now. And if we can duplicate the path of the Thunder in recent years, that would be very good, right? You'd agree with me on that, Raptors fans? Let's stay patient. That's what I'll say. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Despite the outcome, Raptor Freak family crew strong forever. That's right. Let's get after it versus the Lakers together. Brian saying, I'm sure he pays for the bots. He tried to show me. Anyway, I'm out. Got to run errands, feed the homeless dude, then watch my Vikings whoop Jacksonville Jaguars. Peace out. All right, Brian. Okay, so that he who shall not be named pays for bots and inflates his numbers, maybe like with his subscriptions and his views and stuff. At one point, he was saying, man, this game's ending so late because he does a post-game reaction or something. I didn't know that. And he said, there's going to be 5 people in my live. So stupid like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, whatever. Yeah, okay. So I can see him doing this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of dirty tricks you can do on YouTube to enhance your stats and make yourself look good. I will tell you guys right now, I'm 100% clean. No steroids, YouTube steroids on me. I have a clean body. You can check my urine. I'm not juicing on the YouTube steroids. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. That's right. I wish you luck, Minnesota Vikings, against the Jaguars, a team I used to root for. But historically, the Jaguars have not been a very good team in the NFL for the most part. And Shad Khan, you need to tell your son to stop running a wrestling company like it's a Cirque du Soleil. How about that? That's my comment for Jacksonville Jaguars Khan family right now. Stop letting Tony run a little circus show called AEW, please. He's doing so much damage to the sport of wrestling. I'm telling you, the sports entertainment of wrestling. Trevor's saying Bronny's there to learn the business side of basketball, to run his dad's business. He will be the next genie from the Lakers. His habit to learn the business side. I heard he's very smart in business. So he's just there playing to get player experience. But in some ways, you're saying he's going to be an executive of the NBA. If Bron does get the Las Vegas expansion, team that's going to be granted to that city, which is undeniably going to happen. The rumors are saying this. Maybe Bronny James is in the front office of the brand new Las Vegas expansion team. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That's interesting stuff that you're saying there, Trevor. Fiercely saying, what time is the game again today? I think the one tonight is 9:30, a little bit earlier than the 10:30 start last night. And yeah, it's so funny seeing Kia Nurse falling out near the end of the broadcast. It's like Nikki Reyes and Leo were like, yeah, we'll wake you up when the game's over. Kia Nurse, she was like really tired. It was like 12:30 Eastern time after midnight. But Kia was like, "Oh, this is so late." It was hilarious. I was like, "Wow, tell us your bedtime is a lot earlier. We can tell." And Leo was funny last night. Leo was saying something about wearing Spanx and makeup, and they're like, TMI, Leo, TMI. Leo Round, you're a legend, man. We love you so much, not just for your life tips and you educating the but just for being real and fun, man. And like Leo's just such a quirky guy. It's like, man, you don't need to tell us you're wearing Spanx, and we know you're wearing makeup. We know that, but like the Spanx part, that was TMI. Nikki was right. TMI, bro. TMI. We don't need to know this. We don't need to know this. That's right. That's right. Yeah, 9:30 is the time. That's right. Thank you, Mo. Fiercely saying paying to get more viewers. How pathetic. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I get emails from people sometimes saying, we've seen your channel and we know how we can improve it. And this is what you need to do and need to do. And I'm like, I don't even open those emails. Like some people may get it really into it. And I'm sure it's a scam at some point. But in some ways, I'm like, this is not that important to me. I really do have the philosophy. The real ones will find me and they'll stick with me. And they'll find value in it. And in some ways, getting to 1,000 subscriptions without overly promoting myself or using YouTube steroids like Robert probably has is actually, I'm very proud of that because it's very, very organic how this channel has been built. And in some ways, like I said, this philosophy of doing it this way, we get the right people coming in here. If I was just opening the net and casting it real wide, I'd get all kinds of crazy toxic casuals, all kinds of weird people that I just don't really want to waste time kind of hanging around with. And then all of a sudden, having to deal with them on here. So in some ways, that's the way it is. Mo's getting a thank you from Fiercey on the time. And Fiercey saying Kia Nurse plays for the Sparks. So I was surprised she couldn't stay up. I know. That's like, it's like I was talking about the unprofessionalism of like Jack and Matt eating roti on a Caribbean night. And falling asleep during the broadcast, Kia Nurse, that's not a good look. It's not a good look. But in some ways, it's very hilarious in a lot of ways, too. So I kind of like it, too. Okay, I got to do this because you guys are going to make me forget. We got to do the classic card real quick. And we're right at the card. Let's see if you guys know who this is today. Classic card of the day is a Miami Heat player. And it is a classic player. It's not a newer player. And this guy actually is a legacy player. Let's just put it that way. He's not the first. He's the first part of the legacy, not the second part. So if you can figure out who this is, you'll get some points on the Raptor Freak trivia game that we're playing all season. And the winner will get their name on the trivia trophy that was given to us by the great David Saborin, the benevolent David Saborin, St. David, our commissioner of trivia. PJ Brown is not exactly the right answer, Isaac. It's a good guess, though. I'm going to say this. His last name is a very common last name like Brown. And also, as I said, he's a legacy player because his son plays in the league. His son played in the league after him. So that's why he's a legacy player. This is a father of another NBA player, and he played before his son, obviously. So if you can figure that out. Trevor, thank you for the classic card Q. Yeah, his last name is a common name, and his son has played in the league. And in fact, I believe his son was a Raptors draft pick. There you go. Smooth's got it. It is Terry Davis. Good job on getting Terry Davis. Yeah, it's not Michael Porter. It is Terry Davis, who is the father of Ed Davis, I believe, right? Isn't he Ed Davis's dad? Ed Davis, of course, was a Raptor. Yeah, and he went to Virginia Union, which is interesting. This guy went to the same school as Charles Oakley. So good job, Smooth. That's pretty good. I'm going to give you a 200 for that one because that is not a common player that is very recognizable in some ways. So very, very good job. And I appreciate you getting in there, Ahmad Rashad, and putting the classic card out of its misery. And sometimes we linger on that for a long time because we're not getting it. Not getting it. All right, let's do the rundown. Oh, yeah, we got to do the Instagram stories real quick. Garrett Temple on the beach in LA with his family taking like pictures that just look like the pictures that are in frames at the store. When you buy a picture frame, there's like a generic picture of a family. Not that they're generic. I'm just saying it's a beautiful picture of a beautiful family and it's ideal. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's like he's saying my family, a beach girl for life. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I guess his wife really does love the beach, and they're just like they're just like look like a perfect like nuclear family. The Temples, such a beautiful family. Jacoby Walter walking into the game with his 14 on, looking stylish. Jonathan Mobo celebrating San Francisco winning Don's win, 84-73. Yes, sirski. Miles Burns celebrating the 1 point victory with Tyreek Key and the Raptors 905 last night, 1-0. Let's go, GOAT. Yes, sir. Miles Burns and Kevin O'Banner are feeling the difference this year with the new coach and the new team around them on the 905. They're probably both at the same time very excited and happy about it, but also at the same time, also, well, it's more competitive. And in some ways, you even better to get even the same amount of time that y'all got last year because it's going to be harder to get more minutes with the great young rookie class the Raptors have this year. That's right. There's some of the highlights on Miles Burns. There's a three that he made. Great shot by Miles. And he had a really good block also in the game, which was fantastic, and a dunk. Yeah, Miles had a good game. And there he is in Wilmington, Delaware, in his hotel room taking a bathroom selfie. Matt Devlin and Kayla Gray and Jack Armstrong at the game last night. Is very classy and nice of Jack Armstrong to shout out Ian Devlin about his accomplishments in the hockey world. And Matt Devlin, so gracious and kind and thankful to Jack for putting that out there. I know for a fact Matt Devlin did not put Jack up to do that. And Jack did that because Matt Devlin is his good friend and he want to, celebrate the greatness of what his sons are doing. Matt Devlin has some amazing sons that are achieving all kinds of great things in the sports world right now. And they do deserve some recognition. We love our voice of the Raptors. And knowing more about his family and life, that's not out of the pocket. That's not something that's unnecessary. It more well rounds who we know as the man Matt Devlin, and he's a great family man, a great dad, and he's very proud of his kids. That's for sure. All right, let's see. Is there anything else? I guess Eric Smith was at Bruce Springsteen last night, and he was saying to the Canadian crowd, "I guess I'm moving to Canada, baby, because of the election. I guess." So Bruce, he's going to come up and become a Canadian citizen because of what happened. Hey, we'll take Bruce. Bruce is awesome, man. He's gonna leave the Nets nation and he'll join Raptors nation, right? That's what happens, right? DJ Carton with cool pictures on his Instagram, him with the basketball. There's a highlight of him with an acrobatic shot he had in the 905 game last night. We came in the lane, he threw it up over his head with one hand and it went in. It was really cool. I really love DJ Carton, man. But if Shed is not going to be down there as much, we're in good hands with Carton running things down there too. And of course, Carton was the one who got the ball to Tyreek Key to make the big game-winning shot right at the buzzer. It was so picture perfect. What a storybook. This dude walked on as a tryout for the 905 like a month ago. Now he's hitting the game-winning shot for us. We cannot understate how incredible that is. Davion Mitchell with his Instagram showing off the shoes, the 45 in the practice jersey, and doing stuff with Jacoby Walter at a place called the Showroom, taking pictures, the Baylor guys hanging out together. Raptors 905 showing their preparation before the game, the dribbles, the Brendan Carlson working on his post moves. Yeah, just really good stuff. There's Shamshay taking a little alley-oop dunk to throw it down. Shamshay was good, man. He's got such a great wingspan and mobility. There's so much promise with him. So much promise. And it was so awesome to see the 905 get the success last night to start the season. We got to do this more, guys. And there is the celebration with Coach Andrew Jones on the 905 Instagram stories. Awesome, awesome stuff. 50 from Chandler and Carton. Very, very cool. Zach Edey is celebrating Pippen Jr. for being the first father-son duo in the NBA's history to record triple doubles. Well, you ain't got that, James gang. No, you don't. Pippen gang got the first father-son triple doubles. Scottie got many triple doubles back in his day. Well, Scottie Pippen Jr. got his first triple double in the NBA, and they are the first father-son duo to do that. So eat it, LeBron and Bronny. And to the point, there's the king and his crazy stuff on his Instagram stories, talking wowzer and going off on the ambassador And he's even got Puff Daddy in a little cartoon part of the corner. Like, Brian, you're doing him wrong with the Diddy parties. Talking about these Diddy parties, Drake. Did you go to the Diddy parties? Brian is off the chain and crazy. Honestly, his content is funny to me. And there's the whole thing with LeBronto and Bron and Bronny on the next one. And then he's talking about Scotty and Chris and We the North and stuff. Ryan, you keep being you, man. You're awesome, bro. Y'all follow to the point. Seriously, man. He's hilarious, bro. You are the guy, man. Yeah, and I see you like my message, Brian. So good, man. So good. All right, there's the Instagram stories real quick. Let me see what else you guys are saying there. Mike's saying that was a long range dime. You're talking about with Carton to Tyreek Key. Man, that was a really good one. And Trevor's saying, I'll be watching out for Raptors highlights on NBA official YouTube channel. Yeah, I was telling people, the games that we play, sometimes we'll win and they'll show more of the other team's highlights than ours. It's crazy. Yeah, most saying Giants of Africa night can't come soon enough. Yeah, they announced officially this week, and I knew they'd do this, that they're going to celebrate Dikembe Mutombo in a major way for the Giants of Africa game this season with the Raptors. And rightfully so. Of course, Mandela, his presence, it looms very much over the whole event and is very important in the middle of it. But they're going to make room, and they're going to make a lot of this about Dikembe this season since he passed away earlier this year. So, yeah, I'm excited about Giants of Africa. And, of course, I'm excited about Caribbean night when we're going to get to that this season also, because we know it's a highlight of the season for the Raptors. All right, let's do the rundown real quick on our way out. Injuries for the Raptors: Garrett Temple, Jacoby Walter, Scotty Barnes, Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, all out still. IQ is back, though, baby, and that's the thing we like to see. As far as the Lakers, their injuries are Anthony Davis is probable. He will probably play today. Jackson Hayes is probable also. Jarrett Vanderbilt and Christian Wood are out. The referees for the Raptors game against the Lakers tonight: Tony Brothers, John Butler, and Simone Jelks. And Tony and Simone were there for the Philly game when we beat Nick Nurse and the Sixers in our second game of the season. So this will be the second time we see them this year. They're actually not a totally horrible ref crew. It could be worse, honestly. Let's see. What else? We had our games last night. For, stars of the game for the Raptors lost to the Clippers: Ochai Agbaji, Chris Boucher, and Emmanuel Quickley. And my 5 stars of the game for the 905 1-point victory over Delaware Bluecoats: DJ Carton, Kennedy Chandler, Brendan Carlson, Quincy Guerriere, and Tyreek Key. There you go. Good stuff there. And let me see if there's anything else I missed in my chat. Let's see. Oh, happy birthday to former Raptor and Raptor killer afterwards, DJ Augustin. It is DJ Augustin's birthday today. So happy birthday to DJ. You were a Raptor at one point, and then we cut you, and then you came back and you wanted to kill us afterwards. That is the truth. That's seriously the truth. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Y'all, if you have your fantasy teams, keep up with them, please. I'm beating Cool Cat 6-1 right now in our matchup. This is the last day for our matchup today. That's right. Thanks for watching me today. I'll be back tomorrow with the reaction to the Laker game tonight with the Raptors. Hopefully we can get that big W and beat the Lakers. I'd like to get a win soon again also, guys. I really would. I'd like to get over 25 wins this season, and we got to start collecting them at some point. So, because I want to improve from last year's win total. We need to at least do that. Get to 26 wins, Darko, Masai, Scotty, IQ, and RJ. Just get to 26, and I'll be happy. I'll say it's a successful season. In some ways, it looks a little scary about getting to there, though. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And we'll also preview the 9:05 second game against College Park Skyhawks. That will be also tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Monday morning. Yeah, no days off here, baby. That's right. Let's go, Raptors. And let's beat the circus they call the Bron and Bronny show tonight. That's right. Y'all check out To The Point and give Brian a follow. Let's go, Raptors.